this is probably one of the most unique games I've seen in a very long time.
You're gonna have PvEers, helping PvPers.
Ladies and my mic is still not working. Oh, there it is. I lied. It's working. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next installment of A Whole New World podcast. We have a lot to unpack tonight. We have a lot. We've got 3 articles straight from Amazon Gaming, as well as the video and beta announcement date from yesterday. And we'll actually start off with that, but first I would like to introduce these fine gentlemen. Gentlemen, say hello. Say hello, everyone. We've got Grid 21 returning. We've got Kennethin, the train conductor himself, making a return. And Ixidor is also coming back. We've got a good lot to cover tonight, boys, so let's try to be efficient. I know we like to chat. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Nope. I mean, we only started as late as we did. You know what? They didn't hear anything you said. Any of it. Apparently, the audio did not switch over. I am the best.
Oh, come on.
So let's try that again.
Wow.
Amazing. I know.
10
It's
out of
great.
10.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll do this one more time. Above me, we have Grid 21 making a return. The conductor himself, Kennethin, and Ixidor, one of my awesome moderators, also making his return. Sorry, we have a lot to uncover today, guys, and a lot to unpack, uncover, discover. There's a lot. And last week's show was an ad hoc show that didn't work out, so we have more to cover than we would have. It was kind of ad hoc. It's if new info comes out. So
that's actually one of my favorite words is ad hoc. It's just such a fun word to say. Ad hoc.
And that is what I mean by let's stay focused.
Sorry, ADHD for you.
Yeah, no, I'm medicated tonight.
Somebody clip that.
No. The sound didn't go off though. Oh my gosh. Kennethin coming in with that Twitch Prime sub. This is your second month subbing. Kenneth, thank you so much. I appreciate that, dude. So, for those of you who weren't watching yesterday, I streamed it. A few people streamed it because it was kind of hype. On the PC gaming show on the Summer Game Fest. Lots of names. There was an announcement. No, there wasn't an announcement, but... And a bit of a trailer of basically a bunch of footage we've already seen mashed into a longer trailer. That was shown yesterday. There was really only one thing. We're going to watch that trailer to start off tonight's stream for those of you who haven't seen it. And then we'll talk about what it says at the end, because there is some big news, obviously. News that people have been begging for weeks. Every time we do this show, I get the Wins beta like 7 times throughout the stream. So, for those of you who have been begging to know, they've been asking repeatedly, we're going to give you that answer right now. We're going to show off this video, guys. This was yesterday on the PC Gaming Show. It's called New World Combat Unleashed, which sounds kind of trippy in my opinion. Just saying.
Totally fine.
So trippy.
It's trippy, dude.
Indeed.
I know.
I still love how gorgeous this game is, though. Bunch of combat we've seen. That dude looks neat.
What? Like it's running at like 1.25.
A lot of fire weapons. You guys seeing all these fire weapons? I'm showing a lot of fire. That guy's holding a torch, by the way. And that guy vomited and threw stuff at you. That's disgusting. Yeah, that's a new thing. And then they give us a little bit of war. They give us the horn that buffs your team. You'll notice people are colored. Look at how everyone's actually got colored gear.
I like the Gatling gun. That's pretty dope.
I agree. And then we got the Spriggan, which we've obviously seen. There's an invasion. And then this thing that they decided to show us for a split second. And
I must have missed something when that went.
that's really the only reveal that happens that entire video is the giant skull that raises up in the sky with giant lasers.
That seemed different, yeah.
And right before this video came out, they finally announced the beta date, ladies and gentlemen. Beta will open July 23rd. That is
With the release of August 25th.
which we all knew. Yes, we all knew that. There will be 4.5 weeks of beta.
That's a short beta window.
That's a relatively short. I mean, considering they're calling it closed beta, but it's acting like an open beta, so that's a relatively normal open beta window.
Okay, then again, Valorant I think had the same beta time.
Open beta is usually only like a month or two tops. Like open beta is typically like let's get as many people in here as we can to see if it breaks. That's what you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So Jazio would have been here tonight, but unfortunately dealing with the death of a friend. And
Thank you for. I can't believe I forgot to say that. Thank you. I'm his.
he mentioned in our show on Saturday the fact that when he's experienced the betas in the past, right, basically like Blizzard example or alpha, the devs are listening. Beta, silent.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, let's see here. We're a month away. If you go from July 23rd to August 25th, it's a month worth of whatever. Okay, I mean they're probably going to be
data,
the major thing,
data,
not the minor thing. And so the question really exists. We've seen a lot of good work from the devs, a lot of good work from the community.
Communication.
I'm curious to see what happens when open beta happens.
Yeah.
What the communication and what the
it's gonna be interesting.
I'm gonna jump in real quick with this because it will be interesting because I have been seeing some rumblings on Twitter a little bit here and there about people who've been who pre-ordered the game and then were very disappointed about that they didn't get like anything about it, and then finally now it's like they've dropped this trailer, they've dropped these dates, and the question is, okay, now the people that were upset, what's the reaction going to be like? Hey guys, here it is finally, and you know, are people going to go back and get their pre-orders again?
I don't see why they wouldn't. I know a lot of this was the weirdest thing. It was almost like people who burn their jerseys of like certain athletes. The jersey burning. I'm like, what are you doing? Like they're gonna get so many refunds. I'm like, but then when you want to, when the beta's finally announced, you're gonna buy it again. So like, why does it matter if you cancel your pre-order now when you pre-ordered them?
When they delayed it, they said it was gonna be July. They didn't give us a date. When they delayed it from May to August, they gave us a July window. They said the date it was, right? So people already knew July beta.
No.
But still, they're intrigued. They all were just doing it because they were frustrated. They were upset. So for some reason, they think rescinding their pre-order is going to send a message of some kind that I don't know.
I don't know why that would have.
It was odd. They're all going to pre-order again right before beta so they can all play beta. That's just reality.
They're going to feel stupid, though. They're all going to feel dumb.
This is something that I see... This is something that I see, you know, from time to time with the betas and stuff. You know, they do something, you know, like the show that I was on 2 weeks ago where they do something so in a handful, potentially vocal minority, sometimes it's the vocal majorities, like, you know, something so galactically stupid, like changing the game from a sandbox to 3 factions. And
let's not talk about that this week.
People are just lost on the game forever. Like, I was gonna play this game because I wanted a huge sandbox, beat 'em up, me and my friends just take over whatever we want, blah blah blah.
Me too.
I don't get that now. I want zero part of this game now.
That's kind of how a lot of people are behaving.
And that's how these games like live and die, right? Like you said, you know, Dev said, okay, you know, if you pre-order the game, you're gonna get beta. Beta access is gonna be here, and they're like, ooh, maybe we jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe it's not ready. How about July? And then everybody's like, nope.
Nope.
Never. Taking my pre-order back. I'm not. Nope.
It's weird. It's a weird reaction.
Stand on if they kickstart it, like you know, like
they don't need to kickstart it. They're Amazon.
Yeah, they don't need any more kickstarting.
No, I'm saying you have a lot more leg on to complain about the game you kickstarted, and when you finally get, okay? People complained about you know Camelot Unchained, but guys, You didn't kickstart anything. Let Amazon do it. They choose.
It's
it
their
based on the
game.
community.
Well,
You know,
Yeah.
And that's-
PvP, not PvE. Maybe it's mixed, right? Let it
And,
go.
well, and what I
That's kind
feel,
of the that's
Go
kind of the
ahead.
point
No, go
though
ahead.
is like you know gamers at this point feel so entitled that like
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
that's
they
the
can-
word right there.
they
There it
can
is.
they can be you know they can vote with their
Title.
dollar and you know not
mean,
go to
it's
midnight
sure you
releases and
can.
not you know but they think they have so much power but you know the problem is you're a consumer, you're not the boss.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's-
it doesn't really matter
Fair.
what, and you know, if people really think that, if 100,000 people are just so mad that they didn't get their their free beta for pre-order a month
Before
a
everyone
month
else?
before everyone else,
Mhm.
and they think
Yeah.
their $40 is gonna ruin Amazon forever, boy,
Mm.
howdy do they have another thing coming.
Howdy
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, my thought and question is like, and I feel bad. It's like the people that whoever got access to alphas or whatever, it's like they already know what's in the game, and it's like I want to tell you, but I can't. You need to hold out, but you need to wait.
Yeah.
But it's coming. I just can't tell you about it. Like that's and that's what's frustrating because there are people who and that happens sometimes with games that are in alpha stages for stuff. We know like people will know what's in it,
Mhm.
and because of the almighty NDA, which is completely understandable, I'm not complaining about it, but because of the almighty NDA, yeah, it does lock the people that are on there, the insiders, like the Windows insiders, for example, of what they can and can't talk about because they're ironing out things. And in the meantime, people that don't know what's going on the inside are like, well, Amazon announced this game, and by darn it, we haven't heard anything, and I'm gonna make a return because I didn't get what I wanted. I'm like, well,
Entitlement,
have
you mean?
Developed?
That
Well,
sounds-
see, well here,
Sounds like entitlement.
I've actually fired back at a few people on Twitter directly and said like,
I
look,
know.
have you developed a
been
game?
there.
Do you know what goes into it? The moment you understand what goes into a game,
Mhm.
then you can talk to me. If
Exactly.
not, please shut up. I'm sorry, not to be rude, but please do.
People
Talking
want
out of
to
their
people
hat is
want
what
to
my mom
know
calls
people
them.
want to know everything. They want to know,
Yeah.
want to they without
Because
any
people-
clearance, just because they're breathing air, they want to be able to know what the devs know. Here's the thing,
Hot
I
air.
get
know.
wanting to know. I get wanting to know, but like you don't
30
have the
years
right to
ago.
know.
You used to wait for the box set, and you had to stand outside of a ton of boutique, and then you kick it in your house, and you load it up with the 4 or 5 discs.
Oh my gosh,
I got a
multiple
lunchbox
discs.
that was
Hold
dated
on.
this
Oh
year.
my God!
Yes.
I mean, I understand. I'm grateful for the day the world is right, but yeah, unfortunately, hey, millennials,
Hey now,
Patience!
hey now,
Let's
whoa,
go.
hey,
Zoomers,
whoa.
patience! Yeah, I got the all four
Watch it,
too.
bud.
Yep.
You don't have to
Nice.
say
I
all
was in
of
my closet
us.
the other day, I'm like,
not
"Look
like
at
that.
this."
I'm not like that. All right, moving on. Really
Yeah,
quickly, I just want to put that out there because I forgot to, because I'm a pleb. Guys, episode 3 of A Whole New World podcast is being put live like this very second. I'm literally doing it while we are
Pog.
talking. So, guys, A Whole New World podcast episode 3 will be
Go
live
follow
on the
Jafar on
YouTube. It's called a subscription on YouTube, sir.
Go subscribe to Jafar. Do it or you will regret it.
And go
You will
follow
have-
these two guys on Twitch and on YouTube. Actually, Kenneth, are you on YouTube?
Yes,
Okay.
but okay.
Both these guys
Not a
are
big
streamers
deal.
on Twitch, and they have videos on YouTube, so go check them out as well. Same names, Gradewell21 and Kennethan.
64 on YouTube.
64, good to know.
I wonder what that year means.
I don't know.
Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're just a big 64
I
fan?
would.
So
I
if
thought
you
it-
haven't gotten the chance, if you missed any episodes and you want to go check them out, they will all be up eventually on my channel, YouTube channel with the same name. In fact, episode 4 will most likely be out after this is over. That's how close it was to.
Champ.
That's how close it was to finishing. It was at 99% uploaded before the show started. I'm gonna make this live. And then, so before, really quickly, it's processing, 90%. It's going to be done in like 5 minutes. We're
Cool.
going to jump into some things, guys. We covered
Articles.
yes, we're going to go over some articles. DBD, welcome
Quality
back.
content.
Yes, so, exactly. So, after the announcement, beta July 23rd, guys, to wet your whistle, we're now going to cover the 3 articles that have come out in like a week span. Like, they gave us some rapid fire content. But also, guys, for those of you who don't know, tomorrow I'm gonna carry it live if it happens after I get home from work on the Summer of Gaming held by IGN. There's actually gonna be live gameplay footage of War PvP and a game dev interview. So they're kind of just throwing content at us at this point. And yes, tomorrow. And I'm going to carry it live if I'm home before it happens. I know that the game...
Stay out of this.
Oh,
Jafar, he's our man if he can't do it.
Great!
Caesar interrupted my show. Like, he knows he
Caesar.
shouldn't, and he's one of my mods.
Uh-oh. Rip.
I don't get it.
I have a scared command that he just used.
Oh, and it scared the crap out of you.
Man?
It's a scare
great.
command. Yeah, the great command. I'll have to turn that off in a second.
Are you great or not great?
It's a quote from the movie.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm turning
Press
that
F
off.
in the chat.
Turning that off. Turning that off.
Inappropriate.
Turn off all notifications.
Moving
What kind
on.
of channel are you running here?
Back on, dude, pro streamer. I told you. Back on track. So tomorrow, it'll be somewhere between the time of like 2 p.m. Eastern time and like 7 p.m. Eastern time. If it's any time after 4:30, I will carry it live. So hopefully I get home. If not, well, we'll have to talk about it next week, or I'll just watch a video of it. But just know, Summer of Gaming by IGN, there is live gameplay of PvP War, and they're doing an interview afterwards. So I'm mega stoked about that. They only have a month and a half before the game's out. They kind of have to start throwing stuff
That's a
at
lot
us.
of pressure.
That's a lot of info they still have to share about the game. So I'm not surprised we're seeing this sudden like wave.
I really hope that like the fact that they're having to push all this stuff means that they're not scrambling the last minute and somebody dropped the ball, because the problem is that when companies start doing this rapid fire thing, to me it's like, oh crap, are they now rushing everything all of a sudden because like somebody fell asleep at the wheel?
Somebody right?
That's risky.
And I respect the like blackout on a lot of the systems, right? So like Blizzard has been doing this. Oh, sorry. Oh, apologies. Sorry. I don't expect to get texted in the middle of a podcast that I didn't know I was gonna be a part of until yesterday.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoopsie, my bad. Anyway, so Blizzard's been doing really good about like encrypting a lot of the stuff that they're putting out for Shadowlands, and even for like some of the stuff for BFA, like they encrypted some of the new patches and stuff. I mean, I respect like the blackout, because like if I start playing this game, even like from a super casual standpoint, like I don't want this to be like the first time I played vanilla. Like when I play a game, I don't want to know anything about it.
I kind of agree.
Head first, and I don't know if the water's a foot deep or 100 feet deep, man. And I don't want to get my feet wet little by little and have them sort of breadcrumb me into playing the game. Like, you know what?
I feel that way.
Show me some major systems, and I'm like, you know what? That weapon system looks really interesting. I think I might just try the game out. I'll give you my $40 just to check that out. However, I get drawn in because of a particular system in the game, and then there's so much depth of story, graphical stuff, content, so forth, that I just get absorbed, and 2 weeks later, my entire guild's going, "Hey, Guildmaster, where are you?" I'm like, "What happened? Who are you?"
What year? All right. We need to get on task. We need to get on task.
Brazil pulled out his disc from World of Warcraft 15 years ago that he bought. Still had the receipt. $50 odd.
I keep receipts.
This is
That's
where
impressive.
Well, I remember games being $50 to $60 for the last 20, 30 years. So again, when people complain about the cost, like $40, $50, right? Guess what? It's a lot cheaper per dollar today than it was back then. So
especially
be
without a
thankful
sub.
for the game companies for allowing the games to be as cheap as they are.
I agree with that. So let's carry on. Obviously we all have quite a bit of opinions about the beta and the way this is going and the secrecy. I also like a bit of surprise. I'm gonna simply put that out there. Really quick, the video is up. Episode 3 of A Whole New World Podcast is live, guys. Go check it out at that YouTube link. We're gonna take it over. We're gonna send it over to our friend Grid, and he's gonna read our first article that came out last Monday, June 3rd. I think it was last Monday. And no,
I just quick skimmed this article, so if I stumble over it, dyslexia and
that is
skimming over.
okay.
Let's see. So
go for it.
So this talks about items in New World. Throughout your venture in Ethereum, you will get your hands on a wide variety of items. You will collect consumables such as food, drinks, potions, weapons, coatings, and texture, as well as armor and weapons. You can also find special crafting resources while slaying creatures or searching through abandoned settlements, temples, and corrupt camps. Let's have a look at some of these items. So food and drink. So food and drink items play an important role in your ability to take on dangers of Ethereum. Eating and drinking provides a slow health regeneration over an extended period of time. If you want to make the most of your short bursts of health recovery, we advise you to wait until you are in a safe place before consuming food and drink. That just kind of sounds like
Buffs.
something. I mean, you wouldn't like eat and drive. You wait till you get home and eat your your takeout, right? I mean, that kind of sounds reasonably normal. Furthermore, well, raw
I ain't like that at
raw
all.
foods and fresh water can be used in a pinch. The way to ensure you are getting the most out of the food in your possession is to cook it at a camp or a kitchen in a settlement. That's kind of cool that there's some kind of like cooking and stuff in a and I don't like that.
It
There's
seems
a
to be
wide
important.
you would think raw. I mean, who wants to eat sushi, right? There's a wide variety of cooked
sushi?
food.
I love sushi.
I've never
Yeah.
eaten
Oh
sushi.
my
Sushi.
word.
What did you? Why did you pick that?
Get
We
out.
ban him. We ban him.
Get
I
out.
mean, said
I'm just gonna have to
beats.
turn
I
off
would've
this
been fine with beats,
camera
okay?
and
So, I don't-
whoa, where did Greg go, guys? Whew.
Wow!
All
I
right,
just saw
sorry
that on the
about
screen.
that. Sorry
This
about
is a sushi
that.
stream now.
We're,
Sushi boys.
I guess I'm
sushi
out.
for all, except for Greg.
When consumed, prepared food and drinks will not only initially heal you, but also provide a larger state of slower health recovery. This recovery is constant whether you are in or out of combat. Prepared foods provide an additional points of constitution, the attribute that governs your base health. Additionally, many prepared food and drink items also offers buffs that can increase your defense against certain enemies, enhance your stamina recovery, or even temporarily hone a crafting skill. That's actually pretty cool.
I agree.
No matter what you are doing, it is important to have the right food for the task at hand. It gives a variety of different items, which I'm not even going to try to read through because I want to
Wow,
just
this
get.
is so new.
Dude,
I've never heard of any MMO ever doing
Wow,
this
this
before.
is
Bro,
such a new construct.
It's called a
Sorry,
new world. Wifey in
so-
the chat just gotta. I'm sorry. I will not shamelessly shout out that wifey.
No,
in
you gotta
chat.
shout out the wife, of course.
Hey,
You
babe.
have to. It's a given.
Mwah.
Priorities, man.
She's down
Come
in the
on.
city with her sister and daughter tonight.
So potions and tin structures. I don't know. I don't think I'm pronouncing
It's
that
called
wrong.
tinctures.
Tinctures.
Also,
yeah.
it's a turnum, not a whatever you were saying.
My dyslexia kicking in really. I'm dyslexic. I
turnum.
have an excuse.
I know. A
Uh,
turnum.
Well, that's for anybody who's listening to podcasts. Is like, why is he reading it wrong?
I know you. Well, I
both-
know you do. I'm just
Well,
clarifying.
nobody else might. All right, moving on. Are both small and vials of drinkable substance that grant specific bonuses. For instance, potions provide a general magical effect that lasts for several minutes. You might drink a potion to increase the carry weight of your inventory or enhance your defense against a particular element, damage type such as lightning. Conversely,
Quickly want to say, okay, so we've talked about fire and life. Is there lightning magic? Like, is that what that means? Like I hope so. I want some
your
lightning
guess is as
magic.
good as mine.
As much as I've played a shaman and I shoot lightning, he said that lightning is a type of elemental damage. Give me lightning stabs, please, or lightning gauntlets where I shoot stuff from my hands. Yes, I hope that's what you're telling me. Just saying.
I don't know. I'm not gonna get too.
I hope so.
void stuff,
What if it's
too.
just lightning from the?
Yeah, I know.
element?
That's what I'm saying. Void, or kind of void would be like demonic, I assume, or something,
Wait, X has something there.
or shadow.
Exeter, what's your thought?
I
on
can't
it.
hear.
We didn't hear your comment.
Oh no, I was saying that I was skimming through the articles earlier too before we started, and let's say I missed the lightning thing, but I'm like, okay, so I know there's like fire staves and healing staves, but like there's literally a potion called Strong Void Defense Boost.
That's what I'm saying.
There's obviously some type of void or shadow magic in the game, but it's restricted specifically to PCs or NPCs only. Is what I meant. So like, are there going to be bosses that do shadow
Possible.
damage, but are there going to be necromancers or warlocks or whatever?
I mean,
quit. That's cool.
I hope so. I want to
Wait,
shoot some lightning, dog.
We just lost grid.
Ladies and gentlemen.
he's back.
Oh, he's back.
I have no idea what just happened.
I blacked out.
Literally no idea. I didn't touch anything. My headset disconnected, and my cam link had a cow.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
that's
you
cool.
just vanished. You were gone for a moment.
I went into the void.
Yeah.
The void creatures got me, guys. I swear.
The void damage.
I'm
He did
so
not.
sorry.
He did not drink his void damage resistant potion.
I didn't drink my
He
void
was
damage
struck.
booster. I'm so sorry.
What are you gonna do?
I honestly have no idea what happened. Okay, so anyway, so conversely, tincture, the word I can't pronounce.
Tinctures.
Tinctures, thank you. Take effect instantly, and in the majority of cases, do not linger in their effect. Health and mana tinctures are common examples of this. If you want to quickly recover health or mana while in combat, they are a way to go. Tinctures are also used to rid yourself of dangerous poisons or stop yourself from bleeding.
So these are the pots that what we call nowadays is a mana pot or a health pot. Tinctures, it sounds like, are pots, which means you like use them in an instant.
Probably.
And they either restore mana, health, they remove something, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that sounds probably pretty logical.
Temporary or a quick effect versus a long.
Correct.
Like a flask in WoW versus like a potion of prolonged power lasts like a minute or two, where the flask lasts an hour.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Now it goes on to weapon coatings. Now this is kind of cool.
I agree.
Weapon coatings are the key to gaining an advantage in combat against various creatures of Ethereum. They also can be crafted at any camp once you reach the required level. You may also find them as loot on your adventures. Weapon coatings apply to a weapon and grant it a categorical damage bonus against a particular family of creatures. For instance, applying a corruption coating to your weapon will enhance your damage against corrupted enemies.
Ether.
That's actually that's nice.
I like weapon coatings.
I've never heard of a game doing that.
It's usually involved in spells over
I've never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah, or like enchants or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll be a permanent enchant.
Oh.
Yeah.
ESO has a place where you can drop a poison into the slot to actually have your weapon do poison.
Poison's a thing.
Oh.
That's a common thing, but this is more of just like specific damage against. It's definitely usually done through in World of Warcraft. It's done in enchants and buffs. Yeah. You can do permanent enchants. Like.
Well, no, I'm saying like these weapon coatings seem to be
temporary.
I assume. Do they say how long? Lasts for 5 minutes upon unequipped, or upon unequipped.
Oh, if you take your weapon off. Oh, interesting. So it's a 5-minute buff against any class, and if you look here, we've got wraiths. Ooh, see, this is some stuff I haven't gone and looked at. Gives a small bonus damage against wraiths. There will be wraiths in this game, guys. Gives a moderate bonus damage against corrupted. Gives a large bonus against beasts, which I'm assuming are animals, right? I would assume that makes sense.
Like to think so.
And then this one is gives a damage bonus, a maximum. Maximal? Does that say maximal bonus?
Yeah, maximal bonus.
Is that a word?
I guess so.
All right. So these are obviously different tiers. This is tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. I'm not sure if they're just showing us different versions. I bet each different version has different tiers. I would find it hard to believe that there's only a tier 5 angry earth coating, but maybe. And they have level requirements, which is pretty standard: 5, 20, 35, 50. And that one's for angry earth. So that's, yeah. Carry on. I haven't read that. I just decided to read that. That's kind of neat.
Equipment, weapons, and armor. While exploring and fighting creatures, you can find and acquire equipment items that can be immediately used, provided you are at a certain level to be able to equip them. Each equipment item has a few features in common that determine how powerful the item is. The first feature is the item's gear score. Items with higher gear score are more powerful. The higher the gear score is, the more damage the weapon will deal and more protective the armor will be. The second is the item's perk. An item can drop within up to 3 perks on it. The perks an item can drop are with a pulled from pool of potential perks. The same kind of items can function differently depending on which perks it drops with. Generally, items with higher gear scores have potential to drop with more perks and or more powerful versions of those perks. Items with more perks are rarer than items without, or our rarity, or our rare, or our rarity definition is based on the number of perks an item has.
Right. This is interesting. This is an interesting gearing setup.
This reminds me of something in World of Tanks where crew members get crew
Yes.
experience and then they get like perks. So for example, like Brothers in Arms means that everybody gets an XP boost and the entire crew gets it.
Yes.
Or like Sixth Sense gets it and like one crew member can sense everything before everybody else does. Like this is literally what that reminds me of. It's
That's
just for
totally
like
a good
for
comparison.
weapons. Yeah, that's
It's
similar.
not based on the person, it's based on the weapon. Obviously,
XP basically XP is gear score and perk is like the XP level or whatever of that particular skill.
and they give us
having played ESO right now, right? When you do craft your weapons, you can actually boost them up from being basic to high level, depending upon what materials you got. I mean, that's why I look at this going, that's similar to that, a little different. I mean, obviously every game has a different little feature, how they call it, and what they're adding to it with features and bonuses. But I see this whole tree here going, this reminds me of what I'm doing for ESO for my armor. I can boost it up to the final highest level because of the materials I've got.
And they actually show us 4 weapons, all the same weapon, sorta, like the same weapon class, which is the straight sword, because they all say straight sword, which I'm assuming is I can't tell if it's a one or two-handed sword, to be completely honest.
It's like a straight sword, then it's a one-handed sword.
It's one-handed. Okay. I have no perspective. Like there's no like, you know what I mean. So it just looks like a sword.
Yeah, it's a straight sword, which is not a scimitar, but obviously scimitars are one-handed.
So it's a one-handed. Got it. Okay, good to know.
Like iron great sword would be a two-handed.
Great sword, you're right, or claymore, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so they show us the straight sword in 4 forms, which is kind of neat. And you kind of look at these perks. I've never seen, so I'm just going to go over these real quick, and I want to talk to you guys if you've seen these in any other games, because honestly, these are perks or stats or whatever you want to call that I've never really seen. Now, here's the thing. I don't have as much MMO experience as a couple of you guys have, but there's sockets, okay, which is a thing, which it looks like the sockets give you these weapons. At least, maybe weapons. But weapons, so far, the gear they show us do not have stat boosts to them. It's not like this weapon gives you 15 strength and 10 stamina. At least, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing gems in what appear to be sockets, because it's a circle, so I'm assuming that's what that means. So it looks like, basically, if you have a socket on an item, which this one does not have, you essentially get to choose. Now, these are very small boosts. This is a level 50 item. Only 3 strength and 2 constitution. Now, I don't know if that's the max level gem. I would assume they're giving us an example of a good gem and a good sword. But look at these. So you got ignited. 1. There's tiers. You get durable 3. You can actually increase the durability of the weapon. This one's got durability 3. Angry Earthbane. You do 15% damage to Angry Earth, which is actually quite a bit. Cruel 3. 20 plus 20% damage against targets with an active debuff, which, I mean, that might work with certain classes or certain weapon classes over others, like, or certain weapon abilities, you know what I mean? Like, what if one of your abilities slows somebody, you're going to want to spec it with this sword. I've honestly never seen stats like this. I'm so used to the plus 5 strength, plus 10 stamina, plus 2% crit, plus 2% hit.
Has his hand up.
So I'm going to send it over to Ixidor. Have you seen stats, or what they're calling them, perks like this in other games, and how do you feel about them?
I don't like this.
You don't?
And I'll tell you why. If you look at the article, let's see, the perks an item can drop are pulled from a pool of potential perks.
Which means
this is
RNG.
This is Diablo 3 RNG on top of RNG.
I thought you loved Diablo 3.
I do love Diablo 3, but Diablo 3 is not an MMO that I like to invest a whole bunch of time into. Granted, I have 100+ hours on several characters.
He's literally counteracting his own arguments.
Nice.
Well, okay, so here's the big difference. Ooh. So, like, if you're playing a wizard in Diablo 3, you are only going to get wizard items by and large.
Right.
Out of hundreds of thousands of item drops that I've gotten over a season, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've gotten a quote not wizard specific item. Like you'll get uh witch doctor set pants occasionally, or you'll get a wizard piece here and there. Or sorry, you are a wizard. You'll get cloth sets that aren't the class you're playing
Necromancer.
very rarely.
Mhm.
However, at this point in the game, if this is what they've decided to go with, you are going to be searching for specific weapons and specific armor with very specific perks
Yep.
for a very, very long time. You can literally get the same Orichalcum straight sword and not get the perfect or even close to acceptable PvP perks.
Right.
Let's just say.
Yeah, that's a really good
Well,
point.
here's the thing.
Because the blue one and the purple one have gem slots in them,
Mhm.
but that's what role that's one of the perks they decided to pull off onto this specific item, these two specific items, to give you an example of.
I don't believe the gem slot is a perk because it said it can have up to 3 perks, and there's 3 plus the gemstone. So I believe the
Okay.
socket is its own separate thing.
That's sort of beside the point.
Okay.
Because so let's speak purely hypothetically here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say let's bring the lightning thing back because you want to we got
There's
on that
fire
track for,
damage right here. Ignited's fire damage. But go on.
right. So let's say you're playing, for all intents and purposes, a shaman, and you want to damage with light, a weapon with lightning plus lightning damage on it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it means like it increases like if I have a staff. I think it just simply means that the sword now does fire damage. Or maybe that's what it means.
So it increases fire. It says, let me pull it back up. It
Plus
just says plus
10%.
10% fire damage. So any
That's a good
ability
point.
that you have that does fire damage is now better. But if you're a warrior and there are no fire damage abilities for a traditional sort of warrior,
Mm-hmm.
then that perk is 100% useless for you, and it's a wasted.
I mean, it still does
slot.
fire damage because look, there's fire damage down here. So I mean, it wouldn't be completely wasteless. Obviously, if your theory is that this actually means if say I have a fire staff or I do fire magic, this buffs that, and when I use my sword, I also do fire damage.
So
Interesting.
it depends on how they're choosing to do it. So in Diablo 3, since that's what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
So each weapon has generally an elemental damage buff on it, which is why Diablo's damage is so ridiculous. So if you have an arcane, a weapon that does just regular arcane, plus arcane melee damage, and you have a necklace that gives you plus arcane damage, your weapon damage is also modified.
Right.
Because it technically does arcane damage. So
I think
these kind of systems can be very frustrating, especially in a game where you can use whatever weapon you want.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that opens up the pool and kind of spreads the RNG out maybe a little bit, but it's also going to depend on how many quote-unquote perks they have. If they have 20 perks, the RNG is not so bad. If they have 200 perks, including different, if there's Ignite 1, Ignited 2, and Ignited 3, and they're not capped.
Sounds like corruption.
Well, I'll jump in here really quick with this. It's like playing Minecraft Dungeons, actually, because think about it this way. Minecraft Dungeons basically has it that, okay, so Minecraft Dungeons, you can get a weapon that has like 1 enchant slot or 2 enchant slots, and at the rarest 3. But in those enchant slots, there's additional sub enchants that it's like you either buff one or the other. And if you're stuck with only 1 enchant slot, you really have to make like one decision what you want the most. And then you find something better than that, then it's like, oh, I have to get rid of this because this other one's a lower power or whatever. And it's not fun. Like I've had to salvage a bunch of stuff in Minecraft Dungeons just because I wanted something better to get my enchants back to use on something else.
on that grid just a little more. At least in Minecraft Dungeons, if you get a rare item with 3 sets of enchants, because
Mhm.
you get to pick 3 enchants per slot,
Right.
at least you have a somewhat of a choice.
A control.
This you have no choice. You're just okay. Here's your sword. It has 3 perks on
Random.
it. Is it really good?
Right.
Nope. Well, sorry,
What if?
Charlie.
What
But
if?
you can modify it, or you can craft it
I was
differently.
about to say. So I have a feeling these are crafted swords because they're simple. Like they're
No.
look at their
Those are-
materials:
I
iron,
read a
steel,
Well, yeah.
star metal, orichalcum. I think these are crafted. Personally,
picture could be
Even the
crafted. The article
crafted
talks
one.
about drops.
really. I'm just
crafted
saying in this
ones, you
specific
can-
instance.
I know. It's a
Uh,
bad thing that they're showing a crafted item with a drop.
It also explains a straight sword made of star metal favors strength for dealing damage, but dexterity also contributes. That's interesting. Well,
Yeah, I could see it being a disaster. Yeah, I could see it being a problem because like I don't want to like just be being like, oh, is this the one I want? Oh, I gotta go back and do it again and do it again. I just
So
Well,
you
a
know,
lot of people
unlike like
drops, like you go to a game and you're like, I got to keep running the dungeon over and over again for the drop I want because it won't drop to my class. Drop someone
well,
else's.
isn't that kind of the idea sometimes of a lot of content? A lot of content in MMOs
I mean,
have
yeah,
to be
but
repeated
it
to get your desired result.
like it does it does pull people in to keep it gives people a reason to keep playing. I mean, obviously they need to keep people in to keep playing. That's the point of a game. But the problem is that if you're going to keep people in to keep playing, don't frustrate your
let them
users.
make them keep playing to get to have their
best.
RNG at least okay.
So here's my take. Maybe this is kind of I'm just let me be devil advocate on this. I can understand the frustration with it being RNG. But what if, and it said there's a pool, but what if there's several pools? What if there's a pool specifically for straight swords? Because it then caters maybe it's like 10 different perks, and all those perks are either there's probably some like durability. That's going to be a general perk that's helpful to an extent, probably not desirable after a certain point. Fire damage is probably going to be good. I actually think it simply just means 10% fire damage to the weapon. Look, this is 15. This is 156. That's 10%. This is 19. That's 198. That's 15. That's 10%. That should almost be 20, honestly. But like, I don't think this. I could be wrong, but I don't think this impacts your magic damage, because that would then. I mean, maybe that creates synergy. But I also think then it forces you to play a certain weapon set. So maybe it's sought after because you are a sword and shield and staff user, or it's crap, this isn't as good. I think that they might have several pools that are different depending on the weapon. Like a bow versus a sword are going to have different pools because these perks are designed to assist these playstyles. Maybe there will still be variants. Like I really desire this perk over that perk because I choose that skill over this skill, but I like that because that means at the highest level, even the weapons themselves can have better choices for your style. And I don't mind there having to be some repeatability to get the best thing, because as long as the RNG is not nuts, if it's 10 skills per pool and every weapon and armor piece has its own pool, sure, they might share different perks. I bet durability is shared among all things. That just makes sense to me. I doubt Ignited is shared with, I mean, maybe it could be shared with armor, and then it does do exactly what you described.
No, I mean, I'm sure there's probably pools specifically for weapons and then pools specifically for armor.
But maybe even specific weapons themselves, not just armor versus weapon perks.
I highly doubt that, because that's a lot of effort for, a system, for a system like this. Like,
Is it worth it though? Because the diversity you can have, but like
Well, there's limitations, right? It's gonna be, dev limitation.
That's my theory. I think there's different pools for different things.
So what is interesting is you're talking about these are drops, okay? Item that Grid's rating about is item drops. Right? We get the crafting, right?
You can actually influence it. We'll talk about that later.
For crafting, that same thing is like you have a small chance of gaining one or more perks during the crafting process. Okay. It also says you also have a chance at times you can choose to add a specific modifier to your craft, and you might be able to actually pick the outcome you want in a perk. So, I mean, the items we're talking about now that we say in the Grid's article is based on world drops. It's drops that you get in the. We see it all the time. I mean, all the different games, ESO, WoW, whatever.
And there
It
are
drops, and
RNGs.
and it drops like you're like, oh, that was great. I don't care about that.
Hmm.
I'll go craft it, okay, or I'll just get rid of it and sell it or get some more money.
Kind of
It
like,
happens all the time, and so they're doing the same thing here. This is to me is similar to a lot of other MMOs. So okay,
I just think they're relatively unique
Question:
things that I've never seen before.
if crafting is going to be like at that level, which personally I don't mind.
I want it to be.
I think a game like this deserves to have a really robust crafting system
Yep.
where, where the crafters sort of lead the economy and, sort of carry the game for all intents and purposes. Then why have world drops for weapons that are random that theoretically don't matter when I can just go to Kennethan and say, "Hey, Kennethan, can you make me a sword that does plus fire damage, plus
Hmm.
critical strike, and plus durability?"
Maybe they
Because
don't
I
cross over.
don't want to repair. So I mean, like,
Maybe there's some crafted perks versus drop perks.
oh, there will be. I'm sure there will be.
I mean,
Yeah, because
I think
I
you're a
don't.
little narrow-minded on not narrow-minded, but
Well,
tunnel.
no,
Yeah, I think it's
no,
a very good point because we
it
think
is.
is we're talking about alpha game. This is their first MMO. You have the people there who are MMO players and creators. Right? We'll find out. We're gonna see as they go through, especially when beta more so than alpha,
Yeah.
what really happens.
Let's
I
get
mean, you
Sorry, go ahead.
can't say a lot because of the NDA, but I'm just thinking like what the people have experienced right now in alpha versus
Hmm.
what we're seeing in the articles.
Right.
Mm.
Which we obviously want to talk about crafting. Let's get back on track. We're kind of getting a little bit on tangent on itemization.
Right.
I did want to just talk about the perks because I actually like it. It's just I've never seen damage to this specific race and damage to active debuffs. Like they're almost like I guess
London and
perks is the right word. They're almost like class passives that you might spec into in your class, but instead it's in your weapon. Which
let me
it's a classes game and it's a weapon master based game, but instead of obviously I assume there's going to be passives and actives within the tree, but this sounds like basically almost like artifact abilities. You know what I mean? But instead of it being RNG, you obviously choose when you unlock those, but essentially the weapons will add to your class or weapon mastery spec, which I actually kind of like a lot. I think you'll get a lot of specializations, but not as much cookie cutter.
Speculation. I don't know. I think I'm gonna.
I like to
here-
speculate.
Well, I'm gonna throw it out there that
He's gonna yawn. That's what he's throwing out there,
Not
guys.
no. What I'm trying to get around to saying is that they'll have it now, but then like when it actually gets into some kind of beta-esque state, there's going to be people who are going to voice a much more higher opinions that are going to have to be noted when people are like, oh, why is this like, I mean, they have it because the thing is that they have an idea of what they want it now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be like that when it gets released because things always change. So this
This
could
is
be
true.
a thing now. It could change later.
I mean, they just announced this. I'm pretty sure this is how
so
it
it's not like
is.
it's not like it's set in stone yet. They're just saying this is what could be.
No. If they're releasing
We're 2
this,
months
this means it
away
will be in
from-
launch. These articles are telling us what will be
Well,
in
We're
launch.
2 months away. That's a lot.
This is not stuff that will be changed. I assume, at least not
Or it's
at
being slowly
launch.
over time.
Great.
Maybe things will be tinkered, but these articles are meant to tell us what the game will be at launch. So no,
All right. Well,
that is not the case for this.
again, speculation. All right. Let's. I'm gonna move down here.
No,
I'm
this
gonna
is not speculation. This is them telling us what the game will have. That's why it's so
I'm
important
saying
to
our
read these.
speculation. I was gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll
yes.
we'll see what happens. So this is armor weight and equipment load. Each piece of armor
We
that
are
you
right.
wear.
I don't think we read this.
Well, I
just
didn't.
skipped how gym slots are also random.
Oh,
Yeah.
third feature to look for is the items. All right, yeah, read this part. Grid.
Okay. Third feature to look for is the item gem slot. Occasionally, items can be dropped within an empty gem slot. Anyone can socket a gem into them, but the gemstones must first be cut by a skilled jewel crafter. Socketed gemstones cannot be removed, but in the majority of cases, they can be replaced. Gemstones enhance one or more of the characteristics or character's core attributes.
Right.
Weapons, armor, and other equipment items can have different perks. Weapon perks can improve a weapon's stats and even add additional elemental damage to them, while armor perks can increase defense against different types of damage or add extra pockets to allow you to carry more weight in your inventory.
There you go. Different pools. Told you.
So
That
this
pretty much
currently,
confirmed my theory.
this currently sounds more like a, um, like Bethesda style like equipment
Yes.
system, where if you get a 3-star legendary gun in Fallout, you get 3 random legendary perks. Is it, bloodied and then like plus strength and plus, so it's completely random. So if
But it's
it's gonna
random of a
depend.
specific list.
Well, yeah, I mean, in
According
Fallout,
to what
like
it just said.
every weapon has access to like up to 3 perks depending on if it's a 3-star
Oh, you're saying
legendary
it's
or not.
completely random in Fallout.
Right. So
Got it.
like, there's like the most powerful stuff, then like the medium power stuff, and then like the really nice to have kind of stuff depending on your build.
Right.
But so it the way you combat this RNG is to unfortunately flood people with a lot of high level types of gear so they can pick and choose what they want when they want it and just scrap what doesn't matter, which is what you do in Diablo. You go do a couple of greater rifts, you get a bunch of legendaries and set pieces you don't want, you throw them in the grinder, and you go, well, back to work, and then you go do a bunch more greater rifts, and you just shove it all back in the grinder,
Well,
what you don't want.
Or
And,
you have some fixed ones, like maybe there's name, like this next thing we're gonna talk about is a
Well, yeah,
legendary.
and Diablo
Maybe there
has
could be
those, but
fixed
guess what?
weapons
Not all
with
of
fixed
those,
perks.
not all of those things. If you're gonna start, talking about customized builds, then you could get 20 something legendary items, but none of them are the quote unquote named item you want.
I kind of
I think
wish
there's
it
a
was
way to
like
fix that.
I wish there was a way in
Yeah,
this
throw
like
a crap load of them at us and just let us scrap them for resources. So either A,
yeah,
I can get Kenneth in to craft me something so I don't have to worry about this anymore,
Well,
or
crafting's
B,
important.
just scrap it all and just keep on the grind and let the
yeah,
legendaries
it's
fall
like
from the sky like rain.
I'm gonna pull 2 games together again. Okay, so in World of Tanks, you can actually break down equipment and essentially have it turn back, I think, into credits or whatever. And then in Minecraft Dungeons, it just turns back into gems to spend on more stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
still
to
RNG.
gamble.
Breaking it
It is.
down, right?
Well, see, I'll be honest, I'm getting really tired of like RNG stuff. Honestly, like it's kind of annoying. I would rather that I like some RNG, but I also like if I'm trying to do something really specific and you're just handing me like rando stuff, that's really annoying. It's just like that is not like because I can be like a very focused person depending on what it is, and I don't like getting handed just like junk and just be like do something with this. I'm very good at doing stuff with junk, but I don't like dealing with it, and I think this is just it's kind of
With a game
infuriating.
that has an encumbrance system.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
just had a thought. What if it's this or way of basically doing what Blizzard did when they basically reduced the amount of items they needed to share among different classes? They basically made items, their stats can change depending on your spec, and they remember XO when they greatly reduced the amount of items they had to even create in raids, and instead of there being 7 different weapons someone might want, it was like 2.
I mean,
because
they've
it changed
already
based on your spec.
they've already what the perks? No, that
No,
would
no,
be
no.
really silly.
No. So listen, no. I'm not asking you to do that. My thought was, instead of maybe that was their attempt to replicate what Blizzard does with itemization, so they don't have to create as many items. Instead of having 5 different bosses and you have to pick from those 5 bosses, they all drop a specific weapon you want. Say you're a warrior and you want, there's 5 different bosses,
Some
and
two-handed weapon.
two of them have the 2-handed swords you really want. Well, what if they make it so that one boss could potentially drop any of those swords because the RNG can get you that? You end up having to do a similar amount of content because the RNG still involved is for the weapon. Maybe they increase just how often gear drops, like you said, which gives you then a similar result because you get a drop every time, or maybe 80% of the time. It's just you have to basically get the right drop. So you end up doing the same content as something that has a 10% drop, and you have to go kill that boss 10 times before that weapon drops. But how is that any different in the end result?
Because if you're talking to someone that likes to be as min-maxed as possible, I would rather kill a boss 100 times to get the one item that I want and then be done then kill the boss 100,000 times and get the
What if it
same
takes
item.
the same amount of times? What if it takes 100 times to eat
Fine.
away?
I would rather kill the boss 100 times and get the one item I need one time on that 100th run than kill the boss 100 times and have all of that just go in the garbage can because it doesn't have the right plus fire damage or plus whatever or
What
plus
if it
this
gives
or
you
plus
gold?
that.
These aren't bind on equip. Look, these aren't bound. I don't see soulbound in any of these.
Well, that's probably not a system they're using. So
Well, I mean, if this
maybe
is
there's no
crafted, that makes more sense. Maybe it's tradable.
Right.
Maybe these are tradable. I mean, maybe somebody
Okay,
else is
but
looking
what if
for
nobody?
desired
But
traits.
what if nobody wants those affixes anyway? So it's either you just throw it back on the ground or throw it in the garbage can,
So
or you
you'd
sell it to a
rather
vendor.
not get. You can probably sell it for gold. I mean, there's no in-game vendors. There's
Yeah,
there's
but-
gotta be a use for that garbage that you can have over not getting anything.
The only way I can see that this system is somewhat viable is you can take all these swords you have that have all these perks that you don't want, and you give them to a crafter. That crafter has the ability to break all those down and get base
Or
crafting
that,
items.
exactly, or that. There's
And
gotta
then
be
they
a
go,
way.
okay, well, you gave me 20 swords that were just together create a colossal dumpster fire, and here you go. Here's a sword that's 100 times better than what you have. It's not perfect.
Then that sounds like a great use for all the garbage.
But they don't say that in there. But that like there needs to be like. This article needs to be at least twice as long, in my opinion. Like, they need to explain this kind of stuff
he's
better.
Absolutely right, because like here, like, because it's really, it does become really infuriating that like a certain amount of it becomes it does, because think about it.
Well, yeah, because like at face value, this article is like, congratulations, you hated RNG, and wow, guess what? We have the same amount of RNG that you hated that WoW's taking away now. Have fun, boys.
Oh
And
my
see,
God.
and that's not, and see, in my opinion,
There's some salt in the crowd.
like yeah, there's some Grid 21 salt in the crowd, sure. But I'm just saying that like I'm just saying that like, you know, it is annoying to feel like you're putting all this time in. And now, I mean, now if you're streaming this, not a big deal. Extra content for days, quality content.
I'm
But, like,
streaming
if
it.
you're not,
Will be.
but if you're just a casual player, people's general life is they don't have time to sit and just play with RNG. Like, people just generally don't have time for that. They want to get on, they want to get what they want, they want to get off, right? So like I get that this is basically what they're handing us, but I think that from a design perspective for perks or whatever, to not be able to like either pick what you want or to like decraft something. If you hand it to a smelter and he can break down your sword for you, that would be fantastic. I
like that idea. If you can get something of value from the weapons and gear you don't want because they have perks that are undesirable, then maybe even helps you get a crafted version of something, I think that's great. I think that's a good use.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they turn this into, well, if you don't get what you want, you get tokens, but instead of tokens, you get craftable, crafting item materials, then that's kind of okay, because if crafters can make very specific things,
which I hope they can,
then the only reason to do raids, dungeons, PvP, or anything that gives you gear is the completely random chance that you get this like 100% like god tier item, which you probably will never get, or you just get a bunch of garbage that you take to your friend that turns your garbage into treasure that you actually want.
See, I would love to be able to have, like, because, you know, if we're especially if we're gonna have like the ability to have skill perks of our own. Imagine like I handed a sword to Kenneth and be like, yo dog, like you've got this like ability to smell things or whatever. Take my sword from me. Can you rework this and then give it back to me when you're done or whatever, that to make it, I want this, and this. And he's got a skill in that and I don't. Like it's more community. Players have to work more together. There's more reason to do something. I don't know really. I'm gonna have to just wait till this all comes out.
I don't know if this will help, okay? Because at the end of the article of crafting,
we'll get there.
Oh, wait, it might help the argument, okay? Highly skilled crafters can create items that are just as powerful as the items found in Eternium.
Now, does that mean
just not be won based on whether an item was crafted or dropped for a powerful creature? They'll be won based on the skill of the players involved and the thought they have put into their respective attribute and builds. There are many roles to play in the new world, whether you are exploring remote and dangerous places or gather resources, by mastering the forge to produce incredible weapons that change the course of a war, you can leave your mark on a turnip.
So, good crafters can.
Well,
What I
That
hope
sounds
is
like a
that
weird flex, but okay.
he's
I know.
basically saying that crafting, if you don't get the gear out in the field and you've tried enough times, maybe you get it through crafting, or maybe
Right.
maybe
Right.
that can help you get it through crafting at some point.
Which
I
I'm
want. I
which
need
I'm
this.
okay with,
I
but
like.
as a dad with
What?
twins and a full-time job, I don't have time to raid and then go out and farm
He's the example that I was
insane
thinking
amounts of materials
Mm.
just so my boy Kenneth can make me a baller sword.
Well, maybe
Or
you
bow,
buy
or
the
whatever.
rest.
Yeah,
Maybe it
that's-
just
that's
gives you
exactly
more
what
of
I'm-
stuff you can acquire. Maybe it's tradable and you can buy a bunch. Now it's on the auction house because somebody else put in the hours and you just
See,
buy
I
it.
also don't have time to go farm a bunch of stuff to then turn around and sell in the auction house so I can buy more stuff just to hand over to whoever.
It sounds like
Yeah,
you shouldn't
see-
be playing an MMO, bro.
Well, no, okay. Let's
You
back.
just
let's-
described
let's
an
calm
in-game
down and-
economy.
Let's rewind and freeze for a second here. Okay, this is why we're talking about when I was on here 2 weeks ago, or whatever. We were talking about a marketplace for the game. This is
Right.
exactly why this would be viable. Because if we get a sword that has a perk we don't like, I would like to be able to sell my sword that I don't like, and then be able to scroll through the marketplace, be like, this sword has this. It is selling for this X amount. I can now purchase now and be done with it, and it's mine, and I can leave it and forget it and go to the next thing. This is exactly why the game should have a marketplace. I don't know if it's going.
Like
It
an
will.
auction house
It will
type of
have.
deal,
It will have
yeah.
an auction house. It would be. It's got
Well-
an in-game economy. You can't. You. It would be amazed if there's no auction house. Like that'd be insanity. In my
Well, I
like,
mean-
it would be in my opinion. Right?
Then trade. Then they have. Well, what if they just have a version of trade chat where
Or just
Instead of-
trade.
That's cool.
That would be
Yeah,
kind of
well,
fun.
see, so here's the problem with that is World of Warcraft has a bazillion global channels
Yeah.
that are just filled
Yeah.
with so
Yeah.
much minutia and garbage and
Yep, we are in the universe.
Un-
You're gonna have to just accept it.
inappropriate conversations that no trading, in my opinion, is actually being done.
But it's the right
People are
channel.
just-
Let's be realistic. I'm kidding.
I mean, when trade chat's dead and there's no trading involved, why not talk about politics?
I mean,
and-
screw general chat. Screw general chat, man. Trade's a way cooler spot when it's quiet.
No, but
course, like there's like literally a whole global channel in World of Warcraft for guild recruitment, but you know what
No
it
one
gets
uses
used
it.
for?
No.
And you know what it gets used for? People talking about politics and
Okay.
ugly comments and
That's new.
gross
I didn't know they used it at all.
topics.
oh, wow.
Inappropriate topics, for the general populace, in my opinion. But you
Fun,
know
yeah.
what? It is what it is. You just leave the channels. But guess what?
Moderation.
Now I left trade chat. Now I can't trade any of my items because people want to talk about
Yeah,
how much
because
they hate, like or
we
dislike the current president.
Well, the thing
Oh
about
my
it is
God.
that yeah, because people don't. It's like people, and this would go like this goes into the subject moderation for trade chat. This goes into like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Can we get back on
the-
topic?
What I'm trying to get, what
We
I'm
are
trying
on
to get around
topic.
to- I'm just trying to get around to saying is that like this is gonna be a weird system. I hope it works better than what we're reading it as. Like we'll have to actually see. once
I
it's
do too,
deployed-
but
once it gets deployed
You know,
in the real world, because there's this like it's like one of those things where it's like it's better on paper than it was in reality, or it's like is this
Yeah.
on paper and not see it in reality, kind of a thing.
Maybe
We're
they
gonna have
just...
to wait till we get there. We're just not there yet, obviously yet. So
So let's keep reading then.
all right, so trying to move. So next thing. Oh man, I already spent what, like according to your stream clock, an hour on this one. Like, or at least less.
Is it-
Okay, so
My dog
armor
is
and weight
eating me.
equipment.
Yes.
Each piece of armor that you wear contributes to your overall equipment load, which will turn into effects your mobility when invading. There are 3 states of equipment load: light, normal, and heavy. In parallel, there are 3 weight categories of armor: light, medium, and heavy. Wearing all light armor will keep you in the fast. Obviously, you got to go fast like Sionic. Movement
Sionic.
state. Wearing all medium armor will place. So basically, they're speed stepping with armor is what this basically is getting down to. It's just speed stepping with armor is a short summary.
Right.
Lighter armor treads toward more play style and protection against elemental damage types, while heavier armor treads toward more stalwart play style and protection. And there's some big words against physical damage types. I'm really trying right now. There's a
You
wide
got this.
variety of weight variants within a particular weight category. You can mix and match different armors and get the most effective protection for the movement state you want to play in. The total weight of the armor is what matters, not the individual pieces. There's even item perks that affect an armor's weight, as we
That's
discussed a
kind of
little bit
neat.
earlier.
Yeah. So basically, I think the idea is it's probably there's 3 different weights. They're probably based on so much weight. You're at this weight, you hit medium. You're at this weight, you're at heavy. So I'm gonna assume basically your goal is to be as close to the top of your weight level as possible, right?
Yeah, and
To get the
and
maximum
Well,
protection.
I think it matters. I think it matters what you want to do because, like, but to feed back into the perk system and this last line here, item perks that affect an armor's weight. That's the thing in Fallout where you can get heavy marine combat armor that has a perk on it where its weight is reduced by 90%, which makes it effectively light armor as from a weight class standpoint.
That sounds OP.
So let's pretend you're a rogue and you have every piece of gear has at least one perk on it that says weight is reduced by 90%. You are now a rogue in full plate gear.
Well, but hopefully it's not that extreme because that sounds broken.
ESO, you can do a combination of heavy, medium, light, depending upon what you need. Because obviously, if you do medium, you get stamina. Like I'm playing a stamina person, but I also can wear heavy because I have more defensive protection because I don't have magic. It's to me, it reminds me of like you can mix and match how you want, how
You really
need.
get to be what you want.
Yeah.
I like
like
it.
This is a good section of the article because it really explains what you can and can't do, and it like the whole article should have been like this 3 paragraphs.
So your struggle is just their writing. Whoever wrote the article.
like when you're talking about like potential RNG on top of RNG on top of RNG and potentially another RNG on top of that, like that's super frustrating because people know those systems and they hate them. Like you need to be very specific.
I can understand. I can agree with that.
And so at face value, like someone who's played World of Warcraft for almost 15 years straight, and has 2+ years across several characters played, combined.
Wow.
Yep.
That is really frustrating looking to me.
I mean, corruption's annoying. Corruption's so annoying.
Well, corruption is now you just purchase whatever corruptions you want, and then like
can
GG,
now?
bro. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's a little grindy, but it's World of Warcraft. What do you expect?
I'm gonna jump in here real quick. I stopped playing games like BDO because after a while it was like, what am I doing with my time? Because you got these items, they were locked behind. Now BDO is way more paywallish, which I absolutely dislike.
Ew, I didn't know that.
This at least feels like it's not a paywall thing. But the problem is that like it's like we're getting all this gear and stuff for like what? Just to go into bigger areas. Like again, I'm a story, like I'm an MMO story person, obviously. So like that's where I lie with things. But I mentioned BDO because it's like after all, it's just like I'm building better gear to make better art, to fight bigger monsters, to do what again? Like what's the goal of what I'm doing? Like there literally wasn't like an end. Like I don't mind. Like it's like okay, end game is
there
cool.
PvP in BDO?
In certain areas, yes. There you can do PvP against certain characters. But it's mainly like PvE stuff, and then there's like racing to compete against it. Like whoever takes that monster first, they're the ones that get all the stuff for it, I think, or something like that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played. They did remaster it finally, so there might have changed some stuff since then. But I don't know. It's really. I really hope that there's a point to all of this, and we're not just like grinding, just to grind to basically the grind to flex. I think that's really pointless. There better be a grind to point sort of a thing.
I can understand that. You want there to be resolution. We call that.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, and so like the potential this system has is similar to as far as like flexibility is like some of the stuff that you can do in Fallout 76 right now where there is a bro, it's actually really fun now. They fixed a lot of it. They basically remade the entire game. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So weapons can have a specific legendary perk called Bloodied on them. And so the way Bloodied works is the less HP you have, the more damage the weapon does.
Ooh.
Oh.
So
There's a
you
perk
can
like
play
that in World of Warships.
right. So
Lower
and then
health is more reload.
and then for armor, there's a specific legendary perk called Unyielding, which increases your base stats by up to 3 the lower HP you have.
Those are always
So
fun.
effectively, like the character that I play the most is I'm sort of RPM as a barbarian, which is great because there's a barbarian in the Fallout lore, but as a comic book character, superhero. But so effectively as a quote unquote barbarian, I'm running around with 20% HP, one-shotting practically everything in the game except for endgame bosses.
That sounds awesome.
And if I get touched, I fall over. It's a very, high risk, high reward play style.
I like
and
it.
it's super fun.
Because you try to basically play with lower health. Like, that's kind of the idea. You ride
Right.
edge, right?
You're yeah. And so the converse of that is you can play. This might be a little bit of a racy topic for this channel, and I'm sorry, but it's an example. There's also a weapon affix called junkies or junkied. So the more chemicals or substances you are addicted to, your character, obviously not you personally, the more damage the weapon does. And so you can take Vanguard armor that gives you more resistances to physical and energy damage the more HP you have. So you basically become this tank that just so happens to be addicted to literally everything in the game. But you also conversely do a crapload of damage. So like that's flexibility. That's two completely polar opposite play styles. If that's the kind of flexibility and like play styles they're going for, as long as the weapons are easily obtainable and or destroyable and turn her into something different, so you can farm these items to get exactly what you want with as much RNG as you can potentially manage to shove into a game.
Before it's annoying.
I'm kind of okay with that because right now in Fallout, if you have a bunch of legendaries you don't want, you can take them to a vendor and they get destroyed and you get a tertiary currency. Then you go find a vendor that accepts that currency and you just purchase random 3-star legendary equipment. And you either get what you want or you don't, and then you destroy that stuff, and then you go farm more legendary, and you repeat. You kind of grind for the sake of grinding, but there is an end point. It is more of that grinding to flex, like Grid was talking about.
Right.
But at least it's an efficient system now.
Yeah, true.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah,
let's do this. They're going to talk about legendaries, which I think everyone kind of wants to hear about.
I'm gonna try
so
to
let's
push
get it.
through this.
It's almost over. We're right at the end of the article.
So named and legendary items. During your adventures in Ethereum, I'm gonna keep saying it wrong, so sorry. You'll find a variety of named and legendary items. Unlike regular items, named and legendary items have curated perks and fixed gear score. Some of them even come with pre-stocked gems, while the most reliable way to acquire named or legendary items is by engaging with the most dangerous and challenging foes Ethereum has to offer. There are legendary levels items to be found for players of any level, which is
kind of
nice.
Cool.
So this is exactly like Diablo 3 is currently. Legendary weapons in Diablo 3
are fixed.
Are mostly fixed. Like you are guaranteed so many affixes or so many bonuses. 6 basically. But some of them are A, fixed, and B, static. So like if you get a wand for a wizard, that wand is always going to have intellect. It's usually going to have strength, which is HP. It's similar to constitution in this game. And it's going to have a specific bonus to either a spell or something that works within the build that it's designed for, like plus frost orb damage or plus Hydra damage or plus whatever damage.
Right.
So their gearing system, at least at this point, seems very similar to Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, which is sort of similar to Diablo 3's, but it's actually fairly different, but the bones are kind of the same. So either they're going to be flooding us with gear and letting us break it down to get the gear we want.
I think there'll be a good...
At least in my...
Hopefully they have a good balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is at least preferable in my opinion, except for the fact that there's an encumbrance system.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I mean, I can understand. I mean, maybe weapons aren't as heavy as you might think. I mean, who knows?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. The weight of the items doesn't matter. It's how much the average character based on build can carry. If
So,
you are
well,
not
yeah.
a strength build, so like I have a pistol character that has 0 points, has 1 point in strength because you start off with
Oh.
1 point in strength. He has 175 carry weight.
Yeah, they're gonna
My
talk
15
about that in a second.
My 15
actually.
strength character has 385 carry weight.
Yeah, because it's not based off a stat. It's actually just based off of bags. They're actually gonna explain that next. Yes.
Speaking of,
That's
trinkets and
literally the
bags.
next paragraph.
Trinkets provide passive bonuses to a character's core attributes. Trinkets can grant additional attribute points to one or more attributes. All trinkets come with a pre-stocked gem that cannot be replaced, like weapons and armor. Trinkets have their own subset of perks that can offer benefits. Benefit unique to trinkets. Bags increase the amount of weight you can carry in inventory and have their own set of perks as well. I mean, Black Desert
bag
Online.
perks. Interesting.
Black Desert Online already has a system where you can buy houses in a town and either dedicate it to warehouse storage and or like if you're doing like farming stuff or whatever, you can like say buy a house for workers, buy a house for stock, buy a house for item storage. But like this is kind of like that but on the go, it seems like, I guess. But then the question is, then how many bags can you carry? Like, is there a limit?
I would
to that?
assume so.
I
Look at
hope
some of
so.
these perks, though. Look at some of these perks that get really unique. They talked about this. Look at this. This is called the Gold Ring of Crafter's Fortune. +5 smelting roll bonus. I don't know what the heck the roll bonus means, but apparently it helps with. But it also gives you fire damage absorption. So there's going to be quite a bit of range when it comes to the jewelry.
Crafting is probably similar to like ESO or Fallout, where when you craft an item, it's an internal roll for success or fail. So the higher your
got it,
or
higher quality gear kind of thing.
Like Minecraft.
Well, no, the higher your skill, the higher chance of success, and or higher chance for bonuses.
Got it. And then you look over here. I mean, these are. I'm assuming these are necklaces. That looks like a necklace or a trinket. You've got life leech. Yes. Yeah. Where does it say that?
And platinum
earring.
amulet.
This is an earring because I can ring. But like, look at this. This is completely combat based. You got life leech, so there's gonna be life steal. You got critical strike damage, which actually increases your critical strikes. It's kind of like they kind of just throw a hodgepodge into these things. So this might be a lot more RNG than what else we've seen, because these all show completely different ability or perks. This one's got Constitution added to it, and it's not a socket. It's a symbol. So it's a perk, Stalwart, +4 Constitution. That's not even a socket. Of course, he did say the sockets can't be replaced, so maybe they just.
I love how they don't even show what the socket things actually look like, because I was expecting like a UI, and I don't even see that. I'm kind of interested to know what that UI looks like for those sockets I keep hinting at. So that's gonna be interesting.
This is interesting. This looks like you can really get down and dirty with with your stats.
Yeah.
Right, which means I feel like they're gonna flood us with a bunch of gear, because the only way to come again, the only way to
you
combat
don't like this flooding gear idea, do you?
I mean, I
don't mind it.
do, as long as we can do something with it instead of just chucking it in the garbage can or selling it to a vendor.
No, totally. I agree. If that's if they my take is they probably do something with it. I don't know what that is, but if they don't, that would suck. I hope that's not what they're doing.
I feel like Destiny 2 just floods me with too much gear, and I keep.
Yes.
Just throw it away.
Oh
my
God, a good example of that. That's
why I hope they don't. I hope they give us gear to do something with.
All those guns are like. To me, I mean, yeah.
Let's go ahead and finish this up.
All right, so craft resources. In Ethereum, you will often find a mixture of raw and refined resources while exploring. While the bulk of these resources can be found naturally occurring in the world, such as wood from trees or from veins. Try to say that 3 times fast. Some of them can only be obtained in various supply caches and coffers found throughout the depleted settlements, crumbling ruins that are rife with danger around every turn. The containers you search through may also yield rare and powerful crafting resources, which we'll go over in an upcoming article dedicated to crafting. To be a successful adventure, you will need to make wise choices and master all the resources available throughout Aterium. Be sure to familiarize yourself with the items that come into your possession during your exploration, sorry, and be prepared to modify your inventory based on the way you want to play in New World. There,
Bada
article
bing.
done.
Quick
You know what's
question.
interesting? And all reading this, all these articles, okay, is
Go
that
ahead.
one thing I keep thinking about these devs are doing is they're not trying to tell you everything.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
But
if they lock it down, well, if they lock it down
Mm-hmm.
and they change it between
That's
now and
true.
release, they'll be criticized for it. So they're
Yeah.
trying to give you the high level.
They're-
That's why there's alpha.
They're
You know,
trying to
that's for
give you
next
as
month,
much
and
information
beta.
without handcuffing themselves.
Yeah, but they're also asking the people who, like, I mean, they flooded the world with keys for alpha. So
Mhm.
whoever doesn't have alpha now,
Mhm.
you're not trying. You can go figure it out. You can see whether or not that's going to work or not. You can see what's happening if you spend the time leveling up to 50 and see what will be the benefits you get. And then if you don't like it, you can tell them.
Mhm.
By the way, because they're listening right now. Once you get
I
a
hope
beta,
they're
you're
listening.
a little more locked. Well, they have been listening. Once they lock it down a little bit, it'll be a little harder. That's all.
True. That's a good point. They're leaving themselves wiggle room. So but
have
what
to.
we see here, I can safely say means it will be in a launch. I like 99% chance. You don't post this stuff unless it's meant to be. So what he's saying is there is a why aren't this detailed? They're giving themselves room to vary based on what they actually is now and what it actually will be. We're asking these questions. What it is now might change because they've heard our show or there's stuff going on in the forums. We don't know, and that's a really good point, Kennethan. Really quick question. So the next article is character progression and then crafting, but I really feel like they should have gone the order with items, crafting, then character progression, because you've all these questions.
With character progression, yeah.
Because we have they do the itemization, and a lot of these items are crafted, if not all of them. These all look like, I mean, I
think they're drops. They look like I know they look crafted, but
this is I'm assuming is a drop, but I'm saying these. I mean, maybe these are drops too. I don't know. I feel like since crafting is supposed to have such a substantial part, I feel like it's I feel like crafting a new world is the better article to go next, and then we'll finish with character progression. How do you guys feel about that?
Doesn't matter to me.
Let's do that because I just feel like it flows better. No offense, AGS. I don't think
they're gonna care.
So Kennethan is gonna take on the crafting article, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all listen to our favorite train conductor.
When you arrive in a tournament, you will immediately face challenges to overcome. You will assess your surroundings, find resources to harvest and gather, and begin crafting tools to ensure your survival. Trading and crafting skills in the new world are powerful tools and progress endlessly. As you progress your trade and craft skills, you will eventually be able to gather, refine, craft many powerful things. We covered the way gathering and refining levels factor into crafting outcomes in the character progression article. I know, because it came out the day before.
It did. We're going out of order.
Right. And had a quick look on how consumables work in our itemization blog. You might want to go through them first before diving deeper into the crafting system here.
I disagree.
Now, crafted consumables and resource efficiency. Crafting skills that create consumables such as arcana and cooking gain additional resource efficiency. For example, as a beginner arcanist, crafting healing tinctures crafts them as a 1-1 ratio, while an advanced arcanist has a chance to provide extra healing tinctures.
I like this.
This might seem small initially, but when you start crafting in bulk, you can see yields greater than 30% in efficiency.
So real reward for those who are committed to crafting, which I think I will be.
WoW does this, and it's fantastic.
They do it with random procs, though, which is what it sounds like. That's what this sounds like.
Yeah, but I mean, having that random 20 proc of
is amazing.
Used all the time, just feels so good.
I agree.
It feels so good.
I thought he would like hearing this.
Final
I thought
Fantasy
of you.
14 had a lot of procs like that. Sometimes you get awesome, amazing. I know ESO, you can get the right thing, a combination of ingredients, you can get it happening, or take the risk. But I remember Final Fantasy 14, I think it had actual procs.
So look at this. So he made 5 and he got a bonus cranberry infusion. Whatever cranberry infusion. Oh, he's cooking. So level 55 cooking. This guy got a 1 out of 5. It took 5 to make an extra 1, which would make it a 20% actual yield, a bonus yield. So that's kind of neat.
Up to 30, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
crafted equipment and gear score. The better you become in crafting equipment, the better the equipment will be, obviously. As you
Mhm.
progress a crafting skill that creates equipment that with a scaling gear score, such as weapons or armor, the overall potential gear score outcome begins to expand. For instance, as a beginner weaponsmith, your iron swords will be relatively narrow in their outcome, with a span of 200 to 210 in gear score. As your weaponsmithing skill increases, this range will also increase, and eventually, and the minimum gear score of the correct weapons will begin to raise as well.
The minimum, so there'll be like a window essentially when you
Yep.
get so good, your sword can only be 210 or higher instead of 200 and
Right.
higher, which is
Right.
kind of
But
cool.
that's part of the problem, right? Is that you try to you craft it, go oh, it's a low end.
Yeah.
Craft again, you gotta keep trying, which is
Well, I'm assuming I think the idea is
Yeah.
as you get higher, the minimum increases. So as you get better, you get rid of that. You
no,
essentially
you still have a range. Okay, the range just goes up.
Yeah, the
right.
window probably just gets smaller. Like your
Yeah,
lower end comes
exactly.
up and your bigger
You
end
probably
goes the other
become
way.
more accurate at producing the right item
Right, we'll see
levels.
that here. So higher skill weaponsmiths will be able to craft lower tier weapons that are actually more powerful
Yeah.
than a higher tier weapon made by a lower skills.
Mm-hmm.
Once you begin unlocking steel or higher tier weapons, you will start again at the same low end range 300, 310, 400, 410. But as your skills continue to grow, it will rise similarly to the previous weapon tier before it. Eventually, you'll be able to craft lower tier weapons that will rival higher tier ones of less skilled weaponsmiths. For
Which is
example, a
sick.
skilled weaponsmith can craft an iron sword that is slightly more powerful than a base steel sword, which can be a big help when it comes to gearing your lower level friends and allies.
So they're giving crafters a real. This is why I think they really care about crafting. They're giving crafters a purpose for investing time. So, like, if you become good enough when people are leveling alts or there's new characters on the scene, hopefully the game grows. Like, you become the guy that I can get the best weapon
Everybody
from
runs
you
to.
until a level, right? Obviously, it matters while you're leveling because the better gear you have, I assume it's going to be help you in your adventures.
It'd be kind of interesting as an idea if they had it that, like, imagine you could theoretically set up your own shop and you're
Mhm.
just like, oh well, like Jafar specializes in this because his skill level is this and he's bought his
Exactly.
own in-game business. Like, that'd be really fun to like buy and sell and trade and craft for people and stuff like that. Like, I would love to see that. I've never seen
I
a game
want to
have
do
that
it.
kind of system.
I'm really interested in crafting in this game.
Especially if that system continues to function offline, where you basically don't have, there's no auction house.
Mhm.
There's a trade district where you
Oh,
can basically go in and you go
Yeah,
to the smithing section, and there's a whole
actual
line
player.
of a whole street of like 400 houses on it, and you can walk in and go, oh hey, well Jafar has, all these great steel swords,
that'd be
but this guy over
cool.
here has a bunch of orichalcum swords.
So
And then you
instead
go
of
over there and you're like, they're not as good as the steel swords, though.
So you're saying like instead of there being an auction house, there would be everyone has their own shop, and you basically walk in.
Yeah, I'd
Instead of
really
me
like to see
listing,
that.
I like that idea. Instead of me putting it out on the auction house, I would still like an auction house because I just think that's a necessary, fun
Sure,
Well,
thing.
but
right.
like,
You
But
can
you're
have,
saying
theoretically, you can have both.
you have a storefront. Someone walks into your house or your store,
yes,
and they see the weapons you've made, like and even
and
literally you've made them
and
already, and they're now for
okay,
sale, but they have to come
okay,
to your shop to see it.
I'm gonna
Okay,
put it out. I'm gonna put it one step further here, really fast. So
Go
imagine
for
this.
it.
So you have your store, and Jafar crafts steel swords, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, I just sold a whole bunch, and they're available on the marketplace right now. And then when they buy a thing, you make the credits back to invest. Like, it's like having an online business, but in
Yeah,
game.
exactly. You
Put
could
it
have
back
multiple
into you get
sales.
like imagine this, like
Yeah.
somebody buys your gear with credits, and then you get XP back that you put back into upping your level for crafting the better
Ooh.
stuff
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be
Mm.
cool.
because you
Gear
get a
selling, getting
reputation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a reputation is
Or
actually your XP.
or you can get a choice where you can either, get plus to skill, or you can get
Or
gold.
maybe improve within specific professions. Maybe like if you skill so, then you could earn. Basically, you become a better swordsmith specifically, or weaponsmith, because compared to say you're the same level in armor versus sword, but there's some way it helps you actually increase your sword specifics. Like when
Sure.
you're making a weapon over whatever, Your
Well, there
weapons, I'm
seems to
assuming,
be
it's for higher
items with
perks.
there seems to be specific perks that help you do that. So it
Yeah,
seems
maybe
like a
that's it. You're right.
redundant
You're right. You're
system.
right. Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Speaking of perks, crafted equipment, gem slots, and perks. Anytime you craft a piece of equipment, it has a small chance of gaining one or more perks during the crafting process. Occasionally, you may even get an item with a socket for a gemstone. These
Mm,
gem outcomes are random, but during the crafting process, there are steps you can take to gain some control over the outcome.
right.
Like the whole discussion
Hmm.
we had before, right? So similar to the drops, random drops you get in the world, you're going to have similar type of drops or results when you do crafting.
Yeah.
This and the great
So
example is the picture, so you can see this window. Look at
Yeah,
this
I
yellow
like
window. 500
I like
to.
this.
I'm gonna say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be 10, I guess. Anyway,
Hmm.
no, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's weird. Nine's a weird bar from 5 to 600. So
well,
I'm gonna assume this is 541s. Like basically, I'm gonna assume this man can
it's 9.
proc between 500 and 550, and maybe because of his specific level, it probably prefers a higher piece of the window, but there's potential of anywhere in the window. I mean,
Theoretically.
that's where I would go with that. 'Cause obviously, the potential's higher, but if the same amount
Yeah.
of chance is the same, that almost feels ineffective. Does that make sense?
You
I
can
hope
increase your
it's.
chances of getting an item with a gem socket by increasing the amount of that item's primary resource used in the craft. For
Mm,
instance, if you want a steel sword, you have a high chance of resulting in a gem slot. You would choose to use more steel
mm-hmm.
when you crafted it. There are no guaranteed results here, but you can take the chance from low to high with enough resources. I find it interesting that when you think about all the crafting stuff, even when I saw in game, it's interesting how the fact that it's all RNG, even on the crafting side of things, it's not like it's given.
That's a good
You're
point.
literally like when you're out there in the world and you're killing a mob, or a boss, and it's a random drop. Is similar to crafting. It's not like 100% guaranteed. Now, I'm sure as you get higher and higher skill set, hopefully,
Right.
you get to the point where you actually have the ability to create the things you want all the time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think your RNG probably got better.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you won't be at that 1 or 2%, because even a master expert blacksmith could inadvertently make a mistake, or you're doing a part and somehow, as you're making the part with steel, aluminum got into the mix. How you would do that? Okay, and it's now crap.
Mm-hmm. And as you can see here,
Uh,
add orichalcum ingot to increase gem cells. That's how much you can change it by. Its original is 12, but you can actually up to double the amount of orichalcum you use, which increases that gem slot. I mean, who knows how much percentage.
Yes. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. So the percentage is hidden, which is
But yeah,
fine, honestly. Um, my thought
this guy's
is,
really
how,
wealthy. Look how much,
well, okay, okay. Well,
look how
so
much
like
gold he
how
has.
okay, so this reminds me of like a better version of the Diablo 3 crafting system, only
Okay.
because he has so much gold, and gold in Diablo means literally nothing.
Hmm.
Um, if you've
Well,
ever played Diablo, like gold
he's got
doesn't mean
two and a
anything.
half million gold. This man has.
I've sunk a lot of time into Diablo 3 since it came out. I think on my non-seasonal characters combined, I think I have like 5 billion gold
I mean, he's
because it doesn't mean
crafting
anything.
he's crafting a tier 5 shield, which I think at the moment we know is the highest tier you can get of any piece of gear.
As Orichalcum
He's a
level.
level 58 armor and weaponsmith, and he's currently creating a tier 5, and it requires level 55. You can see here. So like it's probably following the same as levels. Like maybe the max level is 60, but then how much further can you really gain? I don't know.
It says you can go as far as you want. There's no. It
Cap?
said that, right, Kennethan? It said there's like it goes on forever. Like your ability to craft things goes on forever. Like there's not a.
I don't remember that part, but yeah, it'd be interesting if it does.
Where did you read that?
It was for
Yeah, I
the
don't
top.
remember. Really? I don't. Did I miss that?
Hold on. It was right here. It was. I'll find it. Can't continue without me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I must have. I mean, I didn't. Okay, it must
If
not
you
hit me then.
find that, let me know. Maybe it's in our
All right.
character progression. Maybe it's in a different article you're reading.
So the
maybe.
number and level of perks that an item has a chance to craft, which is governed by Azoth. You can choose to use Azoth while creating to enhance your chances of getting the item which additional perks on it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, again, there's like you keep adding stuff to it. You can also choose to add specific modifiers to your craft. Crafting modifiers enable you to apply a specific type of perk to an item. For example, while exploring, you might come across a powerful magical flower called a dragon glory. Dragon glories are a rich source of fire essences, which are a critical crafting ingredient that are used by arcanists in potions and in the creation of fire staves. When you
Mm.
harvest a dragon glory, you have a small chance to successfully harvest a dragon glory stem, which can be used to craft weapons with the ignited perk, which
Mm.
causes the weapon to additional fire damage with each strike. While you cannot control the total outcome of the item, you can guarantee that the one perk you want on the item is there. There's a
Hmm.
wide variety of crafting modifiers that are generally rare and come from a broad range of sources. Everything from trees and boulders to specific types of creatures have a small chance to drop a crafting modifier. Combine the maximum amount of Azoth with a crafting modifier to attempt the most powerful outcome craft.
So you can get in crafting, you can confirm it, obviously maybe it crafts an item with 2 perks and you use a specific thing. It then I guess guarantees one of the perks. Like if
Okay,
I
so
use this stem and I get a 2 perk item, one of those 2 perks is going to be ignited. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe then what's RNG at that point is the level of ignited. Maybe.
So I'm gonna inject here because I've been just sitting here kind of listening. The problem, so like this isn't bad. Like this is pretty cool, but at the same time, so at some point in video games when there's so much crafting involved, I just stop. My brain just switches off
Oh, I'm so different.
because because my brain is like, oh, I have to craft this. Like the level of confusion begins, right? And I'm already sitting here and I'm already confused as it is. All right. So never mind actually trying to play it, and I have to memorize all this information every time I want to go. Like I just like I mean it's cool, I guess, but at the same time, like this is also complicated, and then I'm gonna be bugging my friends again as usual. How do I do this? And I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to be constantly asking for help all the time about how to do something because this is a lot of involved
Well, it
information.
can be where that's somebody else. I mean, that's hopeful. I mean, I remember that first show we did, and Shayla's kept commenting about how this game entices everyone. PvP, PvE, crafters, okay, those who are like the CS:GO or the COD player. I mean, all different types of game people because you have the critical shots, right? And this one, to me, yeah, I'd agree with you, Greg. 'Cause I'm not a big crafter, but I like simplicity. But I can see a lot of people who are
Getting confused.
crafters just sitting around there in the fort, helping out the
Yeah.
overall
War effort.
the war effort
Yeah.
by doing these special things.
This is how they
Mhm.
contribute. There's people out there, man. I
Yeah.
played Pirates of the Burning Sea forever. There's people who literally just get a kick out of this. Like this is what they do, and they like seeing, their bags have that much coin in it. Like that's their game. They're internet virtual entrepreneurs that are like, I want to be
Right.
the guy that people know. Hey, who who can I get the best sword from? Yo, go talk
know-
to Kennethan. He
It better
can
be an
proc.
economy.
He can proc. Your perks. He can guarantee a perk proc at whatever. Like you might have your own guarantee because you've learned how to get it to work right.
It's a shame that you can't just make real money after this. I mean, come on, this is like this. You could turn this to an online business, and you can't make money off of like doing, because like imagine like I have more. Okay, sorry. Side note.
Like Second
I have
Life.
more credits and Forza Horizons over 2 mil, and I look at my own bank account and I'm like, well, crap. Like, I mean, we put in the grind for these games, we just can't make IRL money off of it. I mean, this is like.
Then go to Second Life.
Yeah, go to second. That's true. They do sell
Making
stuff
furniture
IRL.
and-
Facts.
Yeah,
I don't
Second
think
Life.
about that game. I'm not getting into that.
Dude, that
Um,
game is something. I remember when that game was new. I started
didn't
playing
play
it
it.
when it was brand new.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just sorry. Completely unrelated. I'm just saying this is just a lot to get the.
I have an overwhelming feeling I'm gonna be playing this game with like one of those old school like composition notebooks.
No, and you're just taking notes, dude, on how to make
Spreadsheet.
stuff.
I use spreadsheets now.
Yeah,
Okay,
dude.
not
Like
that.
Google Docs.
Yep.
You're gonna have a Google Doc. Admit it.
Oh yeah, like or Google Doc or a spreadsheet
Yep.
or like I'll just have Word open on my other monitor and just be like,
Excel.
That's right.
this thing does this thing, and and rest remember that for later. I mean, because like I don't know if anybody has ever played like OG EverQuest.
No,
Mm-mm.
actually.
When I got introduced to EverQuest, right after I had learned about World of Warcraft,
Really? Wow.
friend that was like, oh, you've never played an MMO before, like you should come play EverQuest with me to try and get a feel for it. And I went to his house, and I wish I was kidding
Oh no.
when this dude on his computer desk, aside from like the ashtray with like that hadn't been emptied in what seemed like
Oh boy.
months, was
no.
4 composition notebooks that were so old and worn. I'm like, wow, you've had that for how long have you had these composition notebooks
Are
for? He's
you
like,
serious?
Well,
yeah.
wait.
As
Back
long
in
as
the
I've
day-
been, as long as I've been
come on,
playing,
Don't get to Camelot 2000 and 2003 before.
I was
computer-
watching
yeah,
a video
computer,
about
but
that game today because I had a friend who
I
played
mean,
it in high school.
I had notes because you had to write it down because you
Mhm.
didn't have. I didn't have all these different things technology wise.
That easily accessible on, like Windows 95 and stuff. So like it made
Guide.
sense. But I was just so blown away at just the wealth of information that he had in these notebooks because each notebook was for a specific character that he had at a high level. He
Oh,
had
no.
his ranger notebook, he had his paladin notebook, he had his bard notebook, and he had his
Oh no.
This
Kenneth, what
guy,
have you
man.
done?
Oh, here we go.
book.
If you don't have this, you make your own. Okay, I mean, you buy these and you get all you need. It's just so cheap. The same thing as that notebook. Okay, I mean, I'm just sorry, old school.
Well, yeah, but you know
We
what
love
that
you,
book does?
Kenneth, and we wouldn't have you any other way.
He had uh average spawn times of rare mobs in the game that drop specific pieces of gear for for other people that play the same class as him, that as they're leveling he's like, okay, look, it's 4 o'clock, I know that this boss got killed 4 days ago, it
Oh
spawns
no.
come up
He
2
did
days.
it down to a science, basically.
Yeah, he was like a mathematician for EverQuest.
Wow.
He's
Yeah,
like,
there are wikis for that. Yeah.
this boss got killed 4 days ago.
For
It has
that.
a 7-day spawn timer. So 3 days from now, I need you to be on around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm gonna go kill this boss for you, and then you can get the gear for it, and it's gonna help you continue to level.
Wow.
And you're
Yeah,
talking
no,
about
that's a good
that with
point.
On your
crafting?
hands.
He had this for 4 separate EverQuest classes.
Oh my gosh.
Depth of knowledge from level 1 to level whatever the cap was for EverQuest in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You think you're gonna be like that with this game with crafting?
Same.
I can
Yes.
see his point.
could
Yeah.
It could be, because who's to say that, it doesn't prompt you for all the stuff that you have the ability to prompt for?
Mm-hmm.
What if you have to what if you have to go, okay, well, I want to add this material to this staff to get the ignited proc. What if it doesn't tell you that innately? What if you have to drag and drop that special flower,
Yeah.
in the crafting window?
Mhm.
Like would have to know that.
Right.
Yep.
This next guy who's in the workshop's not so rich. Only 1,300 gold
Oh,
compared to that
wah.
that one guy's a business mogul. So I understand
Alright,
what you're
we're
saying
gonna-
because you look in here and
I
you
gotta-
can look. There's a charm. Add a special resource.
Right.
Steel, shield, charm. So go ahead.
Now, you also can craft furniture. Okay, because there is some housing going. In the new world, we want your house to feel like a home. This means being able to decorate and furnish your home. Furnishings works a little bit differently than the other crafting skills. It is important to us to maximize the variety of furniture items that can be crafted, but we don't want there to be a huge barrier for players who just want to decorate their house. As a result, decoratives can be crafted from a low furnishing level. In addition, furnishers can also craft a selection of trophies and storage for houses. House trophies grant passive bonuses for things like combat and crafting, and are explained in depth in our article about housing. Each house can have a number of storage chests. Adding a storage chest to your house increases your storage volume for your house settlement. Recipes for trophies and storage unlock as you progress your furnishing skill. We're excited to see all the ways you will decorate your house.
So there's
Alright.
aesthetic decorations and there's
like-
purposeful ones, and
Yeah,
Yep.
aesthetic
I
is
like-
easy.
I like the fact that this is, for all intents and purposes, what could be considered a minor crafting
Yeah.
ability.
Mhm.
So instead of having to go out and kill the biggest, baddest monster for that couch plan you really want,
Hmm.
you get it. Like when you get,
Somebody.
I'm like, I want this super, leather couch because it's gonna make my house like the dankest party house. But you know what? I have to go kill this level 60 boss to do it, and nobody wants to go. It's a couch boss. It's like a mimic couch.
It's a couch
Sofa
boss.
monster.
Sofa
Sofa
monster. I like that
monster.
better.
But so you just unlock it, and they could do flavor stuff like if they don't have specific furniture stuff in the cash shop, I will be gloriously surprised.
I agree. There'll be a lot of aesthetics in the cash shop. Let's finish this up so we can get to the last one with our last half hour.
So I said before during the other thing, but highly skilled crafters can create items that are just as powerful as the items found in a tournament. Battles will not be won based on whether an item was crafted or dropped from a powerful creature. It will be won based on the skill of the players involved and the thought they have put into the respective attribute and mastery builds.
Mm-hmm.
There are many roles to play in New World, whether you are exploring remote and dangerous places to gather resources or mastering the forge to produce an incredible weapons that change the course of a war. You can leave your mark on an tournament. Some designs may change based on history feedback. Screenshots are from alpha and subject to change.
Asterisk at the bottom.
I
You
love
gotta
this,
put
man.
that little thing.
So it sounds like the impressions I'm getting from you guys is this is relatively RNG again, but very in depth and rewards the real crafter, like
Yeah,
the person
I'm like
who's
it.
a businessman.
And I'm okay with that. Like
You're okay with a lot of things. I'm okay
oh no,
with
no,
that.
like, look, crafting is not my jam.
True,
like,
it's not.
like in WoW specifically, like I always have a max level alchemist because
Yeah.
I'm not too lazy to go pick flowers, but I'm too lazy to not pick flowers for everyone. I just pick flowers for me
Makes
and make
sense.
sure I have enough consumables for raids for me.
Mhm.
I don't make extra for. And now, if people bring me materials, I will gladly and happily make them for them. But I don't make money with my alchemist like I probably should be doing. But I at least make them for myself, so I don't suck. As the GM of my guild in WoW, I don't want to suck resources and funds out of my guild to
Be
keep my
prepared
character
for raid.
for raid. I would highly prefer to do that myself.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me, man. Which we're actually, I'm really looking forward to the crafting in this game. I think it's pretty neat.
Might actually get me into crafting.
It's the most
It is
extensive crafting
interesting.
I've ever seen. Now, I'm just thinking,
I
I
mean-
haven't played ESO or Final Fantasy or BDO, but when it comes to what I've seen when it comes to crafting, it's kind of intense and very interactive.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bit of a gamble. Sounds like almost like a
It
dice
is.
roll, but it's a dice roll that you can kind of influence strongly. It sounds like in particular ways.
A little bit, it seems like.
What?
You can load your dice a little bit. It seems like.
Exactly. Maybe you get a 3 if instead you turn your 6-sided dice into a 3-sided dice.
I mean, obviously, the hardest part is that when it comes to getting resources, you are going to be constrained of getting the resource you want based on the level you are, because the
Mhm.
mobs around you will be killing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there is that still too. So hopefully, if you work together with your fellow guildmates and all, then you can actually work it out.
That's my only concern with with craft. Like, I think WoW lost a lot of oomph when crafting basically devolved into you're just making gear for people who are boosting their brand new level 1.
I feel like WoW, like I've never played WoW in my life, but I feel like it's a game that's not aging well, and it's starting I feel like it's starting to wind down to where the point they just need to drop the server support and just start something new. Like, because I hear a lot of comparisons
for Shadowlands. Honestly, it seems like it's gonna be this, quote unquote WoW 2 without actually having to start all over from scratch.
That's what I was basically calling Shadowlands. I'm like, this is their WoW 2.
I say that because we've been taking, you guys do a lot of comparisons between New World and WoW, and I don't want a WoW clone.
We don't either.
I don't want a clone of anything. I want it to be its own thing.
I agree.
But it's really easy for me to compare something I've never touched.
Well, yeah.
Something I've been touching for. Oh, well, that's what. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
that came out weird.
New World reminds me a lot of ESO.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
That's my biggest comparison.
Yeah, a lot of Fallout references, which is
the combat.
The Bethesda thing, by the way, the way the gear drops. You said that, and I was in the New World Discord, and someone said after this article, this sounds a lot like Bethesda's style of RNG perks. And then it was funny that he mentioned that. We're using the games that we have experience in. It doesn't mean it's like WoW. We're just giving it a comparison. A lot of times we're saying it's not like this.
No, I'm just saying it's just interesting that like that's what I've been constantly,
It's kind
sort
of a king MMO.
hearing, and I'm just like, no thanks.
It's kind of still the head honcho of MMOs. Still by
Yeah,
by
that's pretty
sub
fair.
numbers. By sub numbers. That's just the reality of the situation. It's the
Oh yeah.
greatest
Sure.
MMO
For
when
sure.
it comes to money ever.
Microtransactions. Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
and sub count. So we're gonna send this one over to Ixodor. This one, guys, on character progression. We're gonna tie this all up with a little bow, and not a little bow, but a
Good,
nice
because
bow.
I'm getting legitimately kind of sleepy. So
I feel that. Ixodor, guys, while Ixodor's reading, it's gonna be hard.
It's only
I'd
8
love to
o'clock.
interrupt. I don't know why,
It's
but his
11:11
mic,
here.
his mic gets cut out when we talk. So I know I'm saying this as much for myself as you guys. Let's try to, not talk over his reading in particular, because like you can't hear him
Discord for
anymore.
the win.
I don't
yeah,
know
it's just
why.
Discord being weird.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts, but it
Mute.
only happens with him. On mute. So go for it, Ixodor. You have
Well-
the floor.
So what I'll probably do is I'll probably give it like a 5-second count between paragraphs or
Good
between
call.
points at least.
Mhm.
So if you want to jump in at that point, jump in and we can have a discussion, and then we'll
That
cut it off at some point.
I like that format. We should do that all the time.
That works.
Ready, set, go.
Yeah, well, so character progression. To survive and thrive in New World, you need to overcome many challenges, learning new skills and abilities as you adventure forward. Characters progress across the three major categories: core attributes, trade skills, and weapon mastery. While you are free to master as many or as few weapons and trade skills as you like, your core attributes are ultimately govern a large portion of how powerful you are relative to the various hostile creatures and other players in a turnum. Right? That's how you say it?
Yes,
Think
Okay.
so.
it is.
So core attributes. When you first arrive in a turnum, i.e. level 1, I assume, your character will have 5 points in each of the core attributes, and you cannot drop below 5 points minimum. Each time your character levels up, you're guaranteed an attribute point to spend on whichever attribute you choose. Gains from attributes are soft capped at 60 points, but you can go beyond soft cap with the help of trinkets. But there are some diminishing returns beyond that point. If you feel that you've placed a point in error, you'll want to switch, or you want to switch up your point total allocation. You can respec your attributes for a small fee of coin. Early in the game, respecs are free, so players can have an opportunity to experiment without paying a respec fee. I really like that.
I wonder what level that ends at, but I'm gonna assume that's like a level, maybe like level 10. You can't like free specs up to level
That
10.
Yeah, but that's only like 10 points though. Like that's not enough to like.
I mean,
really
it
play around
says.
with
I mean,
anything.
it says early in the game. Okay, well, 20. I mean, point is first 10 or 20 levels. I'm gonna surmise. It can't be
I
higher
think
than
like
20.
halfway point is probably
Halfway.
good.
Think so? Wow.
I mean,
Maybe
I
you're
think personally. I
Maybe.
mean, it's just like to like we always do, bring it back to WoW. Like I think like if you don't purchase World of Warcraft or pay a monthly sub, you can play up to level 20. I think that's garbage because most specs don't hit their full stride until at least level 80 or
40?
90.
Oh well,
No,
nowadays,
like
yeah.
at least level 80 or 80 or 90. You
I'm thinking
don't even get
classic,
your full
sorry.
toolkit.
Yeah.
You don't even get that 30-year toolkit by level 20.
I was
Like,
thinking
where-
classic.
so I think if you can make it halfway through the game, like you should be able to respec for free halfway through the game. Because what if you're playing bows and you're like, yeah, you know what, I thought I wanted to play bows and muskets early on, but
I'm really into fire now.
Yeah.
maybe I want to try magic, maybe I want to try healing, maybe I want to try a tanky style person.
So
Let
you're
me
saying, yeah. It would be
You
in
know,
their
that-
best interest to basically, you don't know your identity up until halfway. You might have, maybe level 24, you realize what your identity is, and you can switch
right.
then.
and to an extent, like you might not realize you don't like a weapon class until like even past that.
How far you've
Like-
gotten in the mastery, yeah, because
Right.
that's separate from maybe you pick up a musket for the first time at level 12. Its mastery's only going to be so high. That's a good point.
I like the idea of being able to reset your character spec for a small coin, because the thing that
Here
has
it
happened for
shows.
me, well, the thing that's happened for me in games like BDO, for example, was that one of my friends, like I picked like a samurai type character, and then my friends were like a wizard type character. Well, to be a wizard type character, you have to make a whole new character. And so, for example, since these characters are not I mean, I don't think we have classes anyway, but let's just
No
for the sake of
classes.
let's just for the sake of example pretend that these skills inflict a class. Okay, just for the sake of argument here. So like if you don't like where you're sitting class wise, I like that you can reset yourself. You would be like, oh, I don't like being a, let's say, I don't know,
Melee, whatever.
melee, wizardry, whatever. I would like to reset myself and, man, imagine being able to do that in real life and change, some other attribute characteristic of your character. I think that's kind of nice
Mhm.
because it doesn't mean that you're locked to a specific point in the game that you realize down the road, like 20 levels or 30 levels in, oh, gee whiz, I kind of don't like this. I think I'm gonna have to just, revert back a bit. I think that's kind of nice.
I think what's also interesting is I haven't seen this style of. So these are stats. They're attributes, but they're stats, right? And I was saying earlier, the only way to increase your stats, it looks like on a weapon or a piece of gear, is the socket. So what's interesting is this game chose what definitely feels like an old school attribute style. Like one of the few RPGs I've ever played, single player RPGs, is Star Wars: The Old Knights of the Old Republic 2. And every time you level, you increase an attribute, and you would obviously choose an attribute based on how you were whether you were more into force powers or if you were more into lightsaber battle, and there were 5 different specs, and they helped you determine what your attributes would increase at, because you would get so many attributes that you could choose, strength, dexterity, intellect, whatever they were, but they would all also increase slightly, and depending on the class you chose, you would, if you chose a more force user style, your every level would give you so many more in that place, and then if you wanted even more, the free one you got to choose where you wanted it to go. So maybe there's this hybrid. He says you start with 5 and you can never go below 5. Maybe it's fixed. I don't know. Maybe levels. I doubt it looking at this, because this is level 60. At level 60, the first thing you look at, the respec is 2,000 gold level 60. So it sounds like gold's going to be. I mean, we saw a dude with 2.5 million. Maybe gold will be relatively inflated. Maybe it'll be higher in this game. But he's also only got 10 constitution. He's only got 65. He's got 6,500 health at level 60. Okay, he's got 100 per level health. That's not that much. Of course, he's only got 10 constitution. This man's a freaking freight train, it looks like, when it comes to his damage.
Right, but that's like only 5 points more constitution than what he started with. If he were to remove 10 points from dexterity and put that into constitution, he would theoretically double his HP pool, putting him at what, 6,500?
Not necessarily. 7, maybe there's a base health stat as well. Like that just like there's base health in WoW.
You get like 20 HP per level or whatever.
Maybe. Like in WoW, there's a base level of health.
Theoretical numbers, obviously.
Like Torn have a 10% higher base level, or is it 5%? 10% base?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like maybe there's just a fixated health level on top of below Constitution, so there's no way you can have less than, say, 3,000, which in this case 10 would be double. But say it's 5,000 and 10 Constitution only gave you 1,500, which
true.
You know what I mean? We don't know what that number is. I don't have a way to find out, but maybe I would find that to be crazy. If that were the case, it would scale that high. That would get out of control. 60 would be 60. That would be 36,000 HP. That seems like a very large disparity.
Well, right. So, but if you think about it in terms like this, right? So, you might have whatever number you came up with in your head amount of HP, but at that point you have probably very little strength, very little dexterity, very little intelligence, very little focus. So you might not be very easy to kill, but you're probably also not going to be doing a lot of killing either.
You'd be a tank if you were speccing so much into Constitution, obviously. But my point is, I can't see it scaling that high. That seems like a wild range.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just saying, the numbers you just gave me, I doubt would scale like that. It probably... I can't imagine people having 6,000 health at max level and people having 60,000 health. That's an insane range.
They have to cap it at something. You can't be.
I just don't think it would modify that high. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, maybe, anyway. And then you have some, if that's the case, you have some very different setups when you stack and say intellect versus stacking into strength.
I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us in the breakdown of what the stats do.
Oh my gosh, let's find out. Ready, go.
Okay, so there appears to be all of 5 stats to choose from. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution. Strength governs your power with melee weapons. Seems pretty straightforward and obvious. Heavy melee weapons such as the Warhammer scale their damage exclusively on strength, while lighter melee weapons like swords scale their damage primarily on strength, but also slightly with dexterity. Dexterity governs your effectiveness with ranged weapons. Bows and muskets both grow in power as your character's dexterity increase. Lighter melee weapons also benefit from your dexterity, but not as much as they gain from strength. Which sounds interesting because it seems like you're going to have to go strength and dexterity if you wanted to play a rogue, let's say.
Oh, you mean or a ranger?
No, I mean a rogue. Like if you wanted to use daggers, light weapons also
Right.
benefit from dexterity, but not
Oh.
as much as they benefit from strength.
Oh, I thought you were saying
So
like, if
you
you
would want
wanted
to have
a sword and a bow. But what if you wanted a sword and a bow? You'd also have to hybridize.
right.
Or a hammer and a bow.
Yeah. Intelligence. Intelligence governs your power with magical weapons, including any magical perks your weapons might have.
Ooh.
Wow, isn't that exactly what I said? Both purely magical weapons like the fire staff and physical weapons with magic perks such as flaming sword grow in power based on your intelligence attribute.
No, that's opposite of what you said. I was saying this is saying if you have more intellect, that 10% on that sword called ignited is actually more powerful. It doesn't mean that the stat on the sword made your fire more powerful. It means intellect actually makes your fire sword more powerful.
Sounds like the same. That sounds like exactly what I said, just with different words.
No, you're saying that I mean, technically the intellect will also. I don't think the perk buffs anything beyond that fire damage on that sword. Intellect buffs all of it.
Okay, fair.
I'm saying that perk I don't think does because it was a
maybe.
percentage that matched with the weapon damage.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yes.
Okay, so focus increases your mana recovery rate and skill cooldown. Higher focus not only means that you can cast more spells more regularly, but you can use your cooldown-based abilities with higher frequency. Constitution is your overall HP pool. The more damage you can get, the more damage that can be inflicted upon you, and before you die, before your HP reduces to 0. If you don't want your HP to reduce to 0, focus on Constitution.
It's
like
your
that
HP
one anime
stat.
I watched.
Oh my goodness. So
Right, so
those are
trade
pretty
skills.
straightforward.
Yeah, trade skills. This window is impressive.
It's a lot. It's a lot of them.
It's a lot to take in.
You can clearly craft in any craft skill. There's no, you pick 2 professions. You do them all if you want.
I thought I read something different, but I guess we'll see. So
the
trade
picture
skills
tells me you can do anything. Look at, I mean, unless they're not showing all of the trade skills here, but they are because they explain how many there are.
True, yeah. There are 4 gathering skills, 5 refining skills, and 7 crafting skills.
Boom.
Gathering skills do exactly what you think. I'm honestly not going to read this paragraph because gathering skills mean you gather things.
What are those things?
Big surprise. You can gather wood from trees.
Are you sure they're from trees? Not from like wolves.
You can gather stone and ore from mines. You can gather animal hides from, I don't know, rocks. No, animals. Surprise.
Yeah,
I like how there's fruits and vegetables. You can harvest fruits and vegetables. I'm gonna be a farmer.
Getting through some of this.
Farmer Jafar.
So refining skills do also exactly kind of what you expect them to do. So you can smelt things, which means you take rocks and or metal and turn them into ingots. You can cut stone, which is also not smelting, but it's stone cutting. Woodworking, tanning, weaving. Leveling up a refining skill unlocks the ability to refine higher level resources and higher level crafting materials. Smelters refine ore into ingots. Stone cutters refine stone into blocks and cut gemstones. So I guess it's jewel crafting or uncut. No, because they're specific. Oh, jewel crafters specifically cut trinkets. Okay.
Yeah. They make jewels.
Weavers and leather workers refine cloth and fibers into cloth. As your refining skill increases, it makes you more resource efficient. Higher level refiners have a chance to gain extra refined resources while they refine. This goes back into what I wanted to say during the crafting section, which is I'm curious how much of the resources you gain from a base skill level, and if you can eventually obtain more resources, which
you mean
from
like
a skinning from like a skinning aspect doesn't make any sense, right? So what they're doing does make sense. You you can't skin a wolf and get 7 wolf pelts out of a single wolf, but you can turn that one wolf pelt into several good pieces of leather.
Right.
And as you get better at it, you can refine that same wolf pelt into even more pieces of leather.
Just
which,
like a diamond,
again, makes sense.
it looks like crap when you mine it. How many good diamonds you make out of that giant diamond is based on how good you are at cutting diamonds in real life. That's how you make better, higher diamonds at the retail level. Like if you go to the store to buy a ring and a diamond, like your wedding, your engagement ring, that diamond wasn't found like that. Tiny little thing.
Right.
That diamond that's nice and polished and cut nice and sharp came from a block diamond that was yay big maybe, but was just a blobbish looking diamond. Like it's very, very crappy and refined, and they hit it, it falls into 7 pieces. This piece is very clear. Let's make that into several smaller diamonds. You hit it again, and you work with what you get. People who are better at that are going to strike that diamond in the right spots to get the right size pieces broken out of it. That's a real life iteration of what you're describing here.
So they waste less of the
exactly.
Materials that they have.
Yes.
They become more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the crafting skills are weaponsmith, armorers, jewel crafters, engineers, arcanists, cooks, and furniture craft. It's actually a reliable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so weaponsmiths, surprise, surprise, they craft melee weapons. Armorers create armor.
I feel
jewel
like
crafters craft trinkets.
they could have made this article so much shorter. I'm sorry.
This is a short article
agree.
compared to the
This
other
is
ones.
the shortest one of them, but it could have been even shorter.
Yeah, they could have condensed this so much more. Sorry, just the editor in me. Go on.
Read.
Yeah. Engineers create ranged weapons and ammunition. Arcanists make potions, tinctures, and magical weapons. Cooks create meals and drinks, and furniture crafters make furniture.
Hey man, this is good
pretty
information.
lackluster.
Okay.
Look, in my house in Fallout 76 is literally just a shed with my giant.
Housing is gonna be kind of important in this game. They've made it clear.
Yeah. So leveling a crafting skill unlocks more recipes and more powerful versions of them, along with some other things that we will go over in a more detail in our upcoming crafting article, which we've already looked at. All right. So finally, the big one: weapon mastery. Using a weapon in combat against creatures results in gaining XP for that weapon's mastery. When those creatures are defeated, every weapon. Yeah, surprise.
Surprise.
XP in a game. What? No. So each weapon in the
game. You guys are feeling
master,
really sassy tonight. My goodness.
each weapon mastery has 2 skill trees. Each skill tree has a selection of actives, passives, and modifiers, and bonuses. That are exclusive to that weapon.
It's passive modifiers, not passives and modifiers.
It is passive modifiers. Well,
So just passives. That's 2 words for saying passives.
Look, man, I'm from South Louisiana. Okay, I can only read so good.
Continue.
So.
Bonuses that are exclusive to that. Yeah. Go.
Yeah, bonuses are exclusive. Leveling up a weapon. Leveling up in a weapon master.
Nice.
That's a weird beginning of a sentence.
No, they missed the Y in mastery.
Oh, okay. So it's a typo. That's why it looked weird. Grants a point that can be spent to unlock one of these abilities, passives, or bonuses. However, it's not possible to unlock everything between both mastery trees. You'll have to choose wisely. If you want to try out a different build for a weapon, you can respec its mastery tree in exchange for some Azoth. Which, do we go over how we get that?
Nope.
Well, no.
They did not talk about Azoth. I mean,
and how you accumulate
they should have talked about that in the itemization article.
Yeah.
I know there was a section, but I was busy finding something that I thought I read, which apparently I
never read. There was the crafting. They talked about in crafting how Azoth is used for crafting. They didn't talk about how we get it. I still don't know how to get it. I mean, do we mine it? No. Do we?
So they'll dive deeper in weapon masteries in the future. However you choose to fight, you'll need to forge and discover powerful weapons to fit your combat style. Whether battling in wars with other players or holding back waves of the corrupted, your combat skills will mean the difference between life and death.
Which also means with perks being, and I just realized, we're talking about perks earlier, how they're RMG. Maybe there's perks on certain weapons that's PvE weapons. The pool might be more driven towards PvE style stuff. Like maybe it's extra damage to a specific type of creature they talked about, or resistance to a type of creature, whereas maybe gear you craft or from PvP is going to have like, just straight damage or things like the ignited. Or I saw an abyssal earlier, which added, what's it called? Damage, void damage to your weapon. There's the void damage we've been talking about. Apparently, your weapon, which we've seen videos from AGS, weapons that have a purple glow around them, which to me sounds like void damage. So like maybe their perk pools will be based on, I still don't know how we get Azoth, but I forgot why I was bringing it up. I forgot why I brought this up. Basically saying it was talking about the different weapons and styles you have, whether you're in wars or maybe people are gonna have multiple sets of gear. They're like, hey, this is my PvE corrupted invasion gear because it's all corrupted damage bonus. Because maybe that corrupted damage bonus is better than just flat damage perks. Maybe they're higher percentages because they're focused on corrupted. Maybe we walk around with several different armor sets because maybe when you're doing a dungeon, or not a dungeon, maybe you're fighting the Spriggan, you want to play a tank, you're gonna have tank gear with tank perks, and you're gonna have to respec for tank spec.
You're just gonna have resistance gear.
My point is,
that's the point of the house and the storage capacity of your house is you can have different sets of gear for different things. So
I think people will have like 4 or 5 different sets of gear.
Yeah, like you'll have a plus corrupted resistance and plus corrupted damage set for when they go do invasions.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna have plus damage to players and minus damage from players or kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For PvP or for war, for the war stuff.
Or for the different play styles you want to play.
Right.
You want to be a tank or a ranger.
These icons that they have that
this,
even though you can't actually mouse over them, like
cool.
I feel like they look really nice for one.
I think they look nice too.
So like for the throwing axe, obviously if you go under throwing, the 3-tier thing all the way on the right, these 3 things are very intuitive, even though I can't mouse over them and I have honestly no idea what they do. Just by the way they look,
you think
I feel like it's either bonus damage, then armor piercing, and then more damage at lower enemy target HP.
They remind me of League of Legends rune sets, honestly.
Yeah, where like they're sort of intuitive by like just what they look like.
So you think they're done well? You think the art style is clever?
I think the art. Well, no, I think the art style in this game is fantastic, and I don't think I'd ever not said that or insinuated that I meant that. But I like when stuff is very logical and intuitive, and if you go to the one next to that, it's like you can carry more axes, then you can carry even more axes.
You can carry 3 axes.
It's
like throwing knives in Assassin's Creed.
Carry 900 axes, you're good.
Yeah. I just like how it looks really intuitive.
I like the trees. Here's the thing: they're really small. There's only 2. They have how many tiers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So almost like maybe it's maybe it's 1 tier per 10 levels, right? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not even level based. Maybe it's completely.
No, because there's single points.
Yeah, so they're separate of level. It's completely based on this.
He has all of these points are in throwing because this top thing is. Oh no, maybe it's. No, I bet those are like you get to pick one of these 3 like initial things, right?
I'm wondering if you have to go down the tree though. Like to get to any one of these, you have to pick so many of these, right? Like I don't know. You like to get this far, maybe you have to only spend 6, or maybe you have to spend. Total, like to get this one, you have to get this to get this.
I would like to think to unlock this bottom bullseye one under the throwing section, like you would have to be at. So look, if you. Oh, sorry, I got really close to my microphone. If you look on the left where the throwing axe is, where it says points available, it says level 13 of 20.
Yeah, so it can be up to level 20. Now we know what the mastery cap is. I didn't even see that. Good call. I've not seen that. So the mastery cap is 20. Now we know.
Okay,
so you get 20 of these. You get 20 of these.
He has no points available on this screen, and he's level 13. I think it is safe to assume that there is up to 20 points available, which
Right.
would not let you get to the bottom of both trees.
Correct.
Even though there's no indicator that, you need multiple points in some of these to max
I
them
mean,
out
maybe
to
you
get to
could.
the
That's what I'm
next level.
saying. I don't know how many it takes to the next level. I'm gonna assume you can't because that would be weird. But maybe maybe it's possible to get to the bottom of the tree. But maybe I only get this. You know, what I mean? Maybe to get that I can only have these 4 abilities, because I mean, you know what I mean? Like he gets 7 more abilities. 1, 2, 3, 4. He would only get 3 others. So it's not like you can
Okay.
dominate both trees. You have to
Right.
basically focus on one tree and maybe
Right.
pick the right abilities from the other side that maybe they complement this
Yeah,
spec.
and so
And that's pretty
he
standard
has,
talent trees.
he has the option to commit 12 points, but there are only 11 things highlighted.
Really?
So, right, unless the bullseye is technically highlighted, but that doesn't make any sense
It
because
is.
the
highlighted.
It's
unhighlighted
highlighted.
one.
There's a blue circle.
Okay.
Everything that's got a blue circle
Okay.
around it.
Okay. Yeah. Good call. Okay. So he has 12 points.
It says right
into
here,
this.
commit 12 points.
Right. So the middle one and the top for Berserk. So that's 1, and then in the throwing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And he
So
has one
he
more.
has
Oh no, it's just
7.
0.
Yeah. So you probably start off with 1, so you don't technically get a point until level 2.
Maybe?
So technically you probably only get 19 points.
Oh, that would have to be it then. Maybe, right? Or you start at level 0. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense.
No, you'd have to start at level 1, so you
Yeah.
would get 1 point, but you don't
Or
get.
you start with 1. Maybe they give you one to start with.
Maybe.
Just so you have an ability when you first start.
I don't know.
I'm kind of I think this tree looks pretty cool. I'm actually really excited about this. There's quite a few. Look how many different things there are on this one. It's a short tree, but in each
Yeah.
tier there's quite a few options. So
I don't
you
like
can
long
really.
trees.
I
I'm really glad it's short.
I like that they're stout though. So like it's easy to get to the bottom, which means I can specialize quite a bit in each tier. I mean, maybe these obviously help each other. I'm assuming they all help whatever this ability is, which maybe that's an accurate shot because there's a bullseye, and maybe that's a sideways throw. I don't know. Maybe this one he takes a bite out of you. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah,
Rawr.
I'm glad that the tier tree is short because like the problem with like, and I'm gonna reference World of Tanks, is that their tier tree is like stupid long. Now they've
Yeah.
reduced a lot of tanks out of it, and but the game's still busted in my opinion. But I'm glad that it's short because I don't
I
I
like
don't wanna
these
feel
trees.
I don't want to have to be stand there and be like, oh, what do I want to do, and then just pass.
I've noticed that there are square icons and there are circle icons.
Whoa, we
The
lost you there for a
square-
second.
He's
Am I good now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Hello? Okay. So there are square icons and there are circle icons.
Yeah.
Circle icons are bonuses or passives.
Yeah.
The square icons are buttons.
Yes, that because I mean
Because you
I'm
can
making
so
that
you can
too.
drag and
Right.
drop to QRF.
So which means you
Right.
can have now. Here's the thing: he has 4 abilities right now, but only 3 slots. I don't know
So
why
you can
you
mix and match based on combat.
Maybe if you well, is it worth spending to
No.
have an extra one, or
Yeah.
would you rather have the passives that you gain instead of wasting? I
No,
don't know.
because
Right.
the passives that are
passive,
under
though.
the square button augment the square.
Right, but there's
button.
also some passives that clearly are not related
Well,
to
Right,
the
that's just going to
particular
depend on what you
ability.
want to do.
Yeah,
Right.
I like this. There's the freedom to have hybrid specs. Yes, like it's completely up to you to how you want to
Yep.
fight. You have to go so deep, obviously, to get all of the abilities. They're not on the
Which
same tree or the
Just
same
like
tier.
ESO.
I
At least you can have a lot of things, but you can only have 3 buttons. So
There's only 3
5
buttons in
buttons, sorry.
ESO.
oh, 5 buttons. Sorry. 5.
Oh, see, I would like 5. I feel
And
like
an
3 is
ultimate.
really
5 and
limited.
an ultimate.
I feel like 3 is really limited. That's just me. I mean, if you have 3 weapons, you end up having 9. So I guess you end up having 9, right?
Yeah, I mean, if there's technically only 3 attacks in this game, that's going to make it really interesting to a degree. But I
Yeah,
feel
you
like
can change weapons really.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So you technically get 9 abilities active at any time,
Yeah.
because clearly you can only have 3 active, but you can have multiple. You can have more than that, according to this tree, because he has 4 here.
I'm just saying they missed out on a really fun class because they could have totally put guitars in the game.
Dude,
Yeah,
bards,
Bard.
bards. I
Oh,
mean,
I
maybe
said
there are
guitars.
bards. Maybe there are guitars or mandolins. I
Uh,
like this
okay.
tree. I like the way this looks a lot.
Gerties, please.
That's really loud.
I know.
It's
All right,
wind
I
We're
down.
want
gonna say
hurdy-gurdies.
What were you
He's
saying,
meant
Grid?
to.
Hurdy-gurdies.
Huh?
What were you saying?
Oh no, nothing. I don't
You
have anything
sound
else
tired.
to say.
You sound-
I'm honestly getting tired.
All right.
Honestly,
Then let's reel this bad boy in because I knew this show would be a little longer because we just had so much info to
I knew it's gonna be
cover.
long. Not, I knew the thing was gonna be 2 hours. Good grief.
said-
Our show's always
he
2
warned
hours.
us.
Our show's
He
always.
warned us. He said 2.5 hours. He
So
started
I
off.
did, and we just hit 2.5 hours because we started 15 minutes late. We're not even at 2.5 hours yet. So we're right in the
let's
window.
wind
I
it
He
said
did
down.
warn.
we did start
Close it
late
down.
because of some technical difficulties with the cameras. Right, guys? Good times. Moving on. This has been a lot. There's been a lot of information. I'm really
Last paragraph. Right?
Oh, go for it. Ixidor.
What happened?
You want to
Last
read the last
paragraph,
did you read it?
They want you to read the last paragraph.
Did you read last paragraph yet? Or just
Do you really want me to read the flavor text at the bottom?
there isn't flavor text. This one's not any.
It's
But you
fluff
will
text at the
arrive.
bottom.
You will arrive.
But you
in
will
Eternum,
arrive at
battered-
Eternum, battered and
Yeah.
weak, but by venturing into this dauntless and supernatural land,
Daunting.
you will find your whatever.
Find your power.
Can we
and
please-
find your
look,
destiny.
Your
Ixie's
power
mic
and
messes
your
up when we talk
destiny.
over him immediately and constantly talks over
You
me.
will learn by doing hardened through Wait. You will learn by doing
Oh.
hardened through
Hardened
combat
through combat.
and become as dangerous as the forces you will face. How will
How
you?
will you choose to grow? Is as your adventure. So, I follow massively OP.
Oh,
And
yeah?
I like their headline for this one. Amazon's new world creative progression will seem comfortably familiar.
I
to
saw
MMO
that.
fans.
I
and
saw
that's
that.
what I like this whole thing, the character progression, the crafting, the items. I'm like, this looks so comfortable.
Like,
That's why when they
in
say,
a good
like,
way.
oh,
like that's
this
a
is brand new,
compliment, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
when they say like this is when they go, oh, this is brand new. I'm like, yeah, there are other games in that too. Okay, so
Mhm.
I get it. You know, maybe they don't play MMO. So again, any game you do, any game will test itself when you actually get out there. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what the devs do. Doesn't matter what the devs say. Doesn't matter what devs think the game can be.
Mhm.
We, the players, are going to break it or do things that they never thought of,
Mhm.
and that will be a good and a bad thing. Okay, and so we'll see. And the
Hopefully,
biggest thing
it's
that's
a
going
good
to happen
thing.
is when they release the game is whether the devs listen
Mhm.
and see what happens and make the fixes needed.
How they react.
Ultimately, we'll be playing beta, and ultimately there'll be a day one patch,
What's that beta date again,
Possibly.
Kennethan?
July 23rd.
Oh snap! Beta on July 23rd. Go on.
My hope is that if people
Oh, dabbing.
create high skill ceiling combinations of weapons,
Mhm.
that they don't just immediately nerf those in the ground because people are
breaking
Are
things.
min maxing?
well, yeah. So like, let's just say that like playing a ranger. So like you start off, long to mid range with a bow, and then you finish people off with swords and stuff. Like let's just say that combination is gloriously overpowered, but the combinations of buttons and skills are at such a high skill ceiling that there are only a handful of people that can do it. Please, Amazon, don't ruin this game by nerfing those specs,
Yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
those people are at such a higher. I mean, that's like nerfing guns in Fortnite because Tfue
Fortnite is
plays
such a
Fortnite.
And he
Such a
knows which
bad-
It
guns
doesn't
are
make
best.
any sense. He's at such a high skill level of play. There's no reason to nerf anything for everyone that's under him
Mhm.
to make him more beatable technically to everyone else, because everyone else has to use those weapons too. So technically,
Don't
if
be
you nerf
rash.
swords, if you nerf swords because swords are really good in a specific high level
Scenario.
skill cap scenario, you have just nerfed all of the other sword builds in the game by the same percentage you nerfed that specific sword build.
The
Yeah,
problem is
I agree.
that-
Don't be rash because there's gonna be some early weapons that show real potential, but it doesn't mean the other
Oh,
ones
yeah.
don't have potential. It just means someone hasn't figured it out yet. Give us some
Right.
time to
Well-
really learn. What I'm really excited about this weapon system. There's two things. One, I have a good feeling that this game's gonna have much more
the skill cap is gonna matter more than what they've talked about it. Lower levels can kill higher levels because I feel with this fight style and with these trees that look pretty nice and these abilities that's only a few, you're gonna have to be good at fighting even if you're not even if you're geared. Like gear's always going to be important because character progression is the point. That's why we play MMOs, is to character progression with gear. But I have a feeling skill's going to trump all by a significant margin in this game. I really do, and that excites me.
Right, and that's a part of the pun, but that's a severe double-edged sword because you take things like has anybody played Guild Wars 2?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Double Dagger Elementalist, or Elementalist in general, in the beginning of the game, everyone constantly complained about Elementalist, but all you had to do was pick a certain selective uh, type of skills, like every time you dodge roll, you cleanse a debuff.
Ooh.
And you can sit there with the staff, heal yourself, stay on a point forever in a PvP match, and 1v3 people,
Yikes.
you're not gonna kill them, but you're also not gonna die either. And then Elementalist got nerfed completely into the ground and became practically
What
unplayable.
about current like WoW Classic, right? I mean, I've heard that I'm playing it now, but apparently a lot of there are two classes that are the most played right now.
Warrior?
Is it Warrior and Rogue? I think it is. Because that's the ones that are the most OP in Classic, and they're all doing that for, I think, PvP, whatever, right? It's like down the road. I mean, we'll see that. We're gonna see. But you're right. I like the fact that you guys said like just don't do it right out of the gate.
Give us time to flesh it out.
Get time because you will find people who will ultimately find a way around it.
Yeah.
The smarter ones who play a lot more time will like, oh well, I can do this and this and this, and then offset that thing you thought that was weak in my class or my character.
Balancing is a constant thing.
And there are just going to like ranged characters are going to have an innate advantage over melee players. Don't nerf ranged classes or ranged weapons because all of the little hammer warriors that are really slow because they like the way the hammer looks and it's super cool are getting just nuked from orbit by fire mages
or kited
and kited by rangers and people with bows or muskets. Like
make it so that the hammer guy can get to them somehow. Don't destroy the bow.
Yeah, just but maybe the hammer guy can already get to them. That player just doesn't know how to do it.
Maybe they're not spec'd properly.
Or maybe it requires a level of skill that they haven't achieved yet.
Yep.
That's the other half of the coin. I think skill is going to be a big deal, and I think my other excited thing about this combat, we're only looking at one weapon, is the wide variety of, not classes, but specs we'll end up seeing. Because every person carries through weapons, and there's so many weapons, so there's variance there. There's variance within what those weapons do when it comes to passives, when it comes to actual abilities. I bet there's passives here that completely modify not just an ability, but completely modify you. Like, this one's got the health symbol. You see that? Maybe that increases your overall health or something. So
it probably increases your damage the lower health you are because that fits with
you're
a
right.
style thing.
And because the health cross is only filled so far. You see that? That's a good point.
Right.
Maybe that's the skill we were talking about. The lower your health goes, the higher your damage goes up to a cap percentage. There's going to be a very wide range of combinations of weapons and specs that might work. Like the viability and range of variety in this game could be really vast, and that excites the heck out of me because then you just don't know what you're going to come up against at any one moment.
My worst fear for this game is having a bunch of people who have either never played an MMO or are used to playing standard MMOs, because let's be honest, this is not a standard MMO by any stretch of the imagination. And they're dumping a majority of their points into one thing, like
all strength, no stamina, no constitution.
Or even worse, like the game. This article specifically says that if you're playing melee weapons that aren't heavy melee weapons, you also get additional smaller bonuses to damage from dexterity. So that lends into a maybe short bow, mid-ranged,
throwing axe,
or throwing daggers, plus a straight sword and a shield.
Yeah,
because you're double dipping dexterity and strength. But if someone's gonna dump everything into strength and then roll a regular sword, or then roll a bow like a goober, like don't nerf me because that guy's a goober.
Yeah, explain to them how it works. I mean, that's what these
Yeah,
are about. These are about, but the thing is, it's pretty crazy how many people will find come in the
Nobody
show that
reads
doesn't read.
patch notes, Jafar.
I know, and no one
I
reads
read
blogs in
notes.
2020. No one reads blogs in 2020, so that's
The
why I'm
people who
doing
read
this.
patch notes do media stuff that give us patch to us to read.
And that's why we're doing this here, because I'm finding in the Discord, the community Discord that I'm a part of, like, people don't read this stuff, actually. A lot of
Well,
people don't.
I'm
But
amazed people actually go into code and
There's-
find these little nuggets of things that like, yo, yeah, we saw what
yeah.
WoW's gonna do for Shadowlands.
Oh yeah, like
because
data
we've
miners.
seen-
Oh my
Because-
gosh,
yeah.
I love to hate data
you're like,
miners.
Yeah.
On one
But-
level, you're like, wow, that's a lot of detail, but okay.
There's so few of them, but then all of us who are curious, they're putting all this information out on YouTube. I mean, that's the point. You know, the Sir Medieval has a YouTube career because people are too lazy to go read these. People don't want to go read. They just want to hear the quick synopsis and explanations of somebody who's done it. So
The only
that's
time
why
pod-
this show exists.
The only type of patch notes that I read are the NVIDIA driver updates and what new game and/or software support there is, and that's about as far as the patch notes that I read. That and Microsoft patch notes, and that's about it.
Ew, Microsoft patch notes, yikes.
I do because in case there's
No, I feel that. I feel that. You don't have to explain that
Alright.
as a content creator. We're actually going to bring this to a
But
close.
every Microsoft patch that comes out is just gonna break my computer beyond repair.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
9 times out of 10, I'm right.
We're gonna bring this to a close. Any last thoughts, guys, before we end this podcast? Because we are right around 2 hours and 30 minutes right now.
simple comment. Amazon, don't destroy your own game because you're gonna lose your player base real fast if you do.
Amazon has something really cool here. I hope they
Don't-
win with it.
Yeah, because then they already released a game that they should not have released, and
Mm.
now they're regretting releasing, and it's like,
Listen to us. There's a lot of potential here, but we've heard that how many times, and a game didn't pan out. I really hope they
Well-
treat their baby well, because this is cool.
that first episode, we had the community manager and the dev on.
Yep.
One thing we said was, we the players are okay if you
Mhm.
delay
Yeah, we are.
for a better game. And of course, then like a week or two later, they delayed it because of COVID,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, hey, yeah, listen to us. But I mean, that's why I think so far, because they have been in the channels, listening to people
I
talk
miss
about
them.
it, they've been going to they that tells me they at least are listening. That's why when Jazio mentioned, seeing what Blizzard does, where he was always doing alpha, he would send all the stuff in, they would listen, and once they went beta
Mm-hmm.
or getting close to release, all of a sudden he went silent. It was okay. We just said, hey guys, we're taking it, we're writing it all down, but right now we're just in the mode of getting it out and cranking it out, so we can't do it. We'll listen to you as much, but we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
We'll have to see when they get into beta what New World does when it comes to listening to people. But you're talking about a month, June 23rd to
Yep.
August 25th,
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks, and you're like, there's only the major things they're going to be fixing at that point.
Yeah.
I
They're
think.
gonna.
And then
It's gonna
there'll
be a lot of
patch.
tweaking. The point of the beta is to see what breaks, to see what happens when you put a bunch of people in a game. Who can break what? How quickly does it break? Is this broken at all? It's basically to see if everything's working properly. And
I'm looking forward to going through the subreddit of Software Gore and seeing how many New World posts there are of Software Gore.
of what?
Software Gore on subreddit. It's a subreddit. It's where people post where software games and software break. It's really fun
Oh.
to read.
Interesting.
Okay.
All
It's
right.
a fun.
Yeah.
All right then. Software gore. It makes sense
So,
now that I hear that.
We know there are a lot of gamers out there who are very impatient,
Mm.
trolls who basically want to rip on devs, whatever, right? But we are the more patient.
I agree.
We're willing to wait, and we want a good game.
Yep.
A lot of us who basically bought the pre-order for Fallout 76 based on all the promises were greatly disappointed. Okay,
Mm.
as because it said that 76 the latest one does look better. Okay, it's a lot more fun to play than the original one.
Mm.
But it's like, how many games have crash and burn? I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda, Fallout 76. You're like,
Was Mass Effect an
Kinda-
MMO? Was
No.
Andromeda an
no,
MMO?
it's just the fact that it was a franchise that people
When
wanted.
when are they gonna make a Mass Effect MMO? I was just about to talk
They're
about
not.
this today.
Well,
Yesterday.
so Anthem,
Oh,
don't.
no.
Now you mentioned BioWare.
Anthem.
Okay,
I was about to say
Anthem,
Anthem was the next one I was gonna talk about that crashed and burned.
Mm.
I
Let's-
mean, so yeah.
Anthem was a game that had a bug in it where people were getting more and appropriate loot for what they were doing, and they're like, "Oh, hey, that was a bug. Sorry," and they turned it off. But everybody was so happy.
Yeah,
They're like, "Oh, that's it. Last straw. Bonk. We're done."
Bonk.
But anyway, back to 76 real quick. I at 30, almost 36 years old, still let my mother buy me video games because she loves doing it because she knows I love video games.
Wow, that's
Even
awesome, dude.
even though I have a full-time job and I am perfectly capable of purchasing my own video games, I still let my mom buy me video games at least for Christmas. I asked for 76 for Christmas in the state that it was in last Christmas with the mindset of, first off, I didn't pay for this. So if it's as dumpster fire as people say it is, I'm not that mad about it. And if they fix it, I have a copy already, and I don't have to go out and scramble to find one. I can't see what you're pointing at. Your window is too small.
I'm not pointing. I'm reeling. I'm reeling this show
armor.
in.
Oh yeah.
I bought the Fallout 76 edition.
All right, guys.
regular
Are we
edition.
going to question what Jafar is doing?
With the power armor helmet.
I'm
Yeah,
reeling the show in, Dead Plays. I'm reeling it in, but it keeps fighting to not. That's it for this episode, guys, of A Whole New World podcast. Thank you guys again. Grid21. Go check out his Twitch and his YouTube, the same name. Kennethan on Twitch. Kennethan on YouTube is Kennethan86, you said? Sorry, 64. 64. You wish it was 86. And then we got Ixidor on the far right. Woo! Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this relatively long episode, and I can't wait to see what the interview shows tomorrow and what war looks like. We actually get to watch like a war happen. I'm really stoked, and that's gonna end this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and have a great night.